Back to our breaking news coverage of a shooting that happened around 2 p.m. Eastern time. 4 shots allegedly shot near or heard near the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach, Florida, where the former president was actually playing golf. He was on his 5th round, his 5th hole. And we are not sure if this was an incident that was directly aimed at the president. But we are waiting for a press conference by the Palm Beach City or County Sheriff's Office. Right now, I want to bring in former NYPD commanding officer and Fox News contributor Paul Morrow. And then for anyone just joining us, Paul, let me set a little bit more of the scene in terms of the details that we do have, albeit sketchy. I pointed out that the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach is near the Palm Beach International Airport. Why do we say that? We're pointing out that this area, we're not sure it could be a heavily trafficked area. We heard 4 shots fired. This is according to Sean, who spoke directly with Steve Witkoff, who was actually playing golf with the former president at the Trump International Golf Course shortly before 2 p.m. when this happened. And we are told that the car has been identified, which means they have a VIN number. They've got a license plate number. They perhaps have insurance papers in that car. And that apparently that one individual, according to Sean Hannity, that an individual was either seen getting in the car, but those details are sketchy. And again, before I toss it over to you, Paul, just want to confirm that we are not sure at this point if this was something that had nothing to do with the former president. That could have been, you spoke about this earlier, could have been road rage, could have been the gang violence. We're not sure. So we want to be clear on that. We're not connecting the dots too early. But given what we do know, what are you thinking, Paul?
Well, obviously, the salient question is, was the president the target or not? And one of the things we do have to consider is that as of now, again, according to the thin details that we have, it sounds like there's only one car and one person involved. So then you have to say to yourself, well, if there is only one person involved, who is he or she shooting at? And that does, again, admit the idea that we've been kind of, moving away from a little bit, that maybe Donald Trump was the target. We also know that an AK-47 can be a long-range gun, just as we saw in Butler. So there are a lot of facts and counterfacts here, and we just have to see the way it teases out. We don't want to put this to bed as being sort of not that significant relative to Donald Trump now on what we have, because obviously it was very near him, and he is known to play golf, and that is his golf course. So it is possible still, and we, again, just have to keep that on the burner, that Donald Trump was somehow or other the target here. And if we don't develop a second piece, and there's one person, one car, and one gun, the argument becomes, who is this person shooting at? And as you said, there are data points to work with. The person may be identified if the car is not stolen, et cetera. And I can tell you that right now there are a lot of police and a lot of analysts who are really crunching who that person could be. They're looking at social media. They're already well into a deep dive on this. They're getting emergency search warrants. They're grabbing everything they can relative to a phone that may go back to this person. So we will know, I think, relatively soon. It's a good sign that they're going to give press conferences soon. But we do need some sort of reassurance, I think, today, Sunday. I know a lot of people probably weren't working, et cetera. This is one of those situations where the call comes, everybody's got to come in. And you got to figure out what happened here to reassure the American public after what we saw 2 months ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live right now. President Trump has been shot at once again. This is breaking news. This is news that broke just moments ago, within the hour. Here is what we know, and we have a live press conference that will soon begin from the Palm Beach authorities. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get through what we know, and let's begin the program by saying, please pray for President Trump. Pray for his safety. Don't care what background you come from. You should all believe in a creator, and you should pray for the safety of President Trump. He is standing against dark forces. There are dark forces that are out to kill President Trump. That is a matter of fact. And we are facing those forces, and it is not the forces of the that we fear the very most, but spiritual. And you can see that President Trump is winning in many polls. The odds have Donald Trump winning the election. The journalistic assassination attempt on President Trump did not succeed this last week in the debate. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as has been predicted on this program many times, things are going to get crazier. And there will be more desperate attempts to stop Trump. We are 53 days away from the presidential election. President Trump has survived another assassination attempt on his life. This is what we know right now. And this may change. Here, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the press conference soon. This is simply a member of the media that is affixing a microphone to the press dais. We will be waiting for the authorities to brief us soon. Here is what we know. This is what we know right now at this moment. Donald Trump was golfing at his golf course in West Palm Beach. This is a golf course that is adjacent Mar-a-Lago. You, of course, know Mar-a-Lago. This golf course is very close. President Trump was going about his business, golfing, and moving about the course. He of course, always has security with him no matter where he is. And the Secret Service, which was moving down the course in order to secure each hole, each subsequent hole as you golf, you move along in the golf cart. We have been on this course. We've done interviews on this course. We know this course very, very well. We just did a documentary on Trump Doral, one of his golf courses there in Miami. The Secret Service caught a man in the bushes with allegedly an AK-47, a backpack, and a GoPro. For those of you unfamiliar, we have GoPros in the studio here. Klein can get me one. A GoPro is a small camera that films from like a first-person point of view the images. Very small camera that films from first-person point of view what someone is seeing. These are typically used for sporting events or in extreme sports. If you're a skateboarder, or if you're someone who is going to be filming like a mountain climb or a parachute jump, GoPros look like this. Thank you, Klein. Here we go. They are intended to film something high energy and high impact. Ladies and gentlemen, here you can see a motorcade that is arriving right now. Again, we are in a live breaking news environment. We will be cutting to the news conference, the press conference from the Palm Beach authorities. You can see supporters of President Trump lining the road there, a man holding up the 47. This is a GoPro. This is the small camera that was confiscated. You can see here I mean, that has to be a presidential detail. I don't know if perhaps it's J.D. Vance. I do not know. ALX, find out where J.D. Vance is right now. J.D. Vance has been doing the Sunday morning shows. Find out where J.D. Vance is right now. That does not look like a full presidential detail, but that is a detail. You can see with the ambulance and the cars and so on. So what is going on? Right over that bridge is Mar-a-Lago. Ladies and gentlemen, I continue here. We will not be missing any breaking news here. Again, this all happened within the hour. President Trump's security detail found an assassin within 100 yards of Donald Trump. How does that happen? How did they know where Trump was going to be? They found another assassin within 100 yards of President Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, this man was armed with, again, I say allegedly, we will wait for the press conference, an AK-47. That's what the reports state right now. This AK-47 was set and ready to open fire, and they exchanged gunshots. We do not know how many bullets were fired. We do not know how many times they were fired. We do know that the assassin was not killed. This assassin was waiting in the bushes around Donald Trump's leafy golf course. Gentlemen, please pull up a documentary that we did on Trump Doral. We'll show you the size of these golf courses that President Trump has. They're large, they're covered in foliage, and this individual was waiting in the bushes, to our knowledge, ready to engage President Trump and to kill him. Secret Service opened fire and they exchanged fire. That's how close this man was to killing Donald Trump today. Once the rounds started flying across the golf course, Donald Trump was grabbed immediately, thrown into a waiting vehicle, and was sped off to a secure location. The golf course has been shut down. The area around the golf course has been shut down. President Trump is in a secure location right now. President Trump is in a secure location as of right now. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the details that we know of at this moment. Again, we await the briefing from the security forces there in Palm Beach. This is a absolute and total shock, but also predictable to us, because we have been hearing and we have been assuming that there was going to be something else that happened on this program. We knew that they wouldn't just let Donald Trump walk right into the White House. And this day, right now, where we are right now, this day is exactly 2 months to the day from Donald Trump's first assassination attempt, where President Trump ate a bullet live on camera, which was intended to be a on-air execution of President Trump. Instead, President Trump, wounded, blood streaming from his face, stood up with his fist in the air, fight, fight, fight. That attempt failed. There have been other attempts at President Trump. There have been individuals who have rushed the stage after President Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, we are awaiting more information, but this is what we have right now. So you can see there the security forces in Palm Beach, which will most likely be flanked by the Secret Service, ready to brief us on what they know now. That is what we know. According to law enforcement, there is a suspect that has been apprehended that was caught in a vehicle fleeing the site. Now, I want to disavow and eliminate any fake news from this moment. There is fake news that is being perpetuated, and we must kill it, okay, for lack of a better term. This program is going to be based on facts. The fake news was published by the New York Post, and this went around the globe, and we had to actually fact check ourselves on it by calling various sources in law enforcement, in Donald Trump's team, and the Secret Service. Here's what they have confirmed to us. The fake news was that that Donald Trump's golf course was in a bad part of town, and there were two individuals that were fighting, and they exchanged gunfire together, and it had nothing to do with President Trump. We have now confirmed that that is a false report. You may see that in your timeline. You may see that posted online. That is false. This was an attempt on President Trump's life. We have that from the highest possible source, ladies and gentlemen. From the highest possible source. That is a false report. The report is predicated, of course, on a lie that Donald Trump's golf club in Palm Beach is in a bad neighborhood. No, it's not. It's like, that's stupid. We immediately did not believe that, and we have since hunted that down and confirmed that that is fake. We were one of the first people to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, a statement from President Trump. There were gunshots in my vicinity. But before the rumors start spiraling out of control, I want you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. Unify, peace, make America great again. May God bless you, says President Trump. Boys, I want to get that breaking CNN clip, please. Play beside, please, boys. Come on. Let's go. We got CNN doing the initial reporting here, matching our reporting that President Trump was the target of an assassination attempt. All CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News have confirmed this, ladies and gentlemen. I want to hear this. Let's pop it up.
We have the vehicle involved in the incident at Mar-a-Lago, and we have the suspect that they were looking for. And now the FBI and the Secret Service will take over that investigation.
So what's the process with that? Now that you have identified this vehicle, did you take them into custody, or is that all going into the hands of the Secret Service and the FBI?
Well, we initially took him into custody and held him until the arrival of the federal authorities. The search of the vehicle, looking for any weapons that may be in there, will now be up to the federal authorities and the U.S. Attorney General.
And then at this process, what was that like stopping him? I know you were out on looking for him. Every law enforcement agency around this area was. What was that process like for you guys here in Martin County?
Well, I missed the stop. I was on the way from home, of course. It sounded very tense on the radio. We knew that we had a bolo, be on the lookout for somebody who had opened fire on the president of the United States. I would say there's probably not a more volatile, potentially dangerous situation than that. Our units were completely locked on. We were ready to go. Had the vehicle fled, we would have stopped it. Of course, God forbid, had there been a gunfight, we were ready to engage. Thankfully, because of good tactics, stopping the car, felony stop, getting him out of the vehicle, coming back to us, we were able to stabilize the scene without any further violence.
Give us a timeline here. When did you first identify that vehicle, and when were you able to finally stop him?
It was just right after 2 o'clock this afternoon, following the bolo, the be on the lookout that we received from south of us, that our road units picked the vehicle up. And then we waited a while. We didn't stop him right away. We didn't want a high-speed chase. So we were able to wait until we had adequate units, surrounded the vehicle, and then forced it to a stop.
I know this is a fluid situation, but did the suspect put up any fight, or did he stop once he realized there was multiple vehicles there following him?
We did not give him an opportunity to put up a fight. So we had him contained, forced off the road, taken out at gunpoint, pulled back in what we call a felony stop, and he was safely taken into custody.
And as you said, you believe this may be the suspect and the vehicle involved in the incident down in Mar-a-Lago. I know it's still a very fluid situation here.
This is the vehicle, and this is the suspect, and he is in custody.
So is he in the custody right now at the Martin County Jail, or is he taken somewhere else because of the involvement down in Mar-a-Lago?
He is currently in custody by the Martin County Sheriff's Office, my agency, but as soon as the FBI Secret Service are ready, we'll transfer his custody over to them.
Final question for you here. Obviously, a fluid situation out there on I-95. It's going to be shut down, I would imagine, still for a while. What's the process out there, and what's your warning for drivers headed around this area?
Yeah, if you're northbound on I-95 and you're approaching Palm City, we're right here in Palm City, Florida, get off and go to the turnpike. We had to clear the vehicle with an explosive vehicle on loan to us, an explosive dog from the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office. Governor DeSantis made contact with us and let us know we had all the FFP help we wanted. And of course, we're profoundly thankful that we were able to neutralize the suspect and to hopefully increase the safety for President Trump.
One other question. Can you tell what kind of vehicle it was, what you found inside?
It was let me leave it at this. It was a dark colored middle year SUV, but I think the specifics will be released by the federal authorities.
Sheriff, is there anything else that's important to note about what you guys did here at this scene, or anything else that people need to know out?
Well, what's very important is this. We took as high a profile felon off the streets as is possible. We did it safely. Nobody else was hurt. And I'm thankful to the men and women of the Martin County Sheriff's Office who put their lives really at significant risk. They had no idea what they were encountering. I mean, think about it. They're stopping a car. The bolo is for a suspect who had just fired at the President of the United States with a tactical rifle. It doesn't not get scarier than that.
Sheriff, thank you very much. We'll keep you updated here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a live interview there with the sheriff of Palm Beach County. He's talking about the podium. The podium is set, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we will go to the press conference for the shots fired at President Trump at his golf course in just a moment. The sheriff there was talking about a car. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is all happening live right now. Here is the vehicle. Looks like the vehicle is either damaged or has been rummaged through. That is a Nissan Pathfinder. There's a black Nissan Pathfinder. And it looks like it looks like there is something in the back there The sheriff said that they have explosive teams ready with ordnance. So who knows what was inside of the vehicle itself? But that is the vehicle. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Image showing the law enforcement officers surrounding the shooter's car in West Palm Beach. So they have the shooter and they have his vehicle. They have him alive, which will be important. In a moment here, we'll be joined by a security expert, probably the man who should be protecting President Trump. I'll say it. Eric Prince in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. My producers tell me. U.S. Secret Service has confirmed that it was a Secret Service agent who fired at the suspect, as opposed to the shots being exchanged or the suspect initiating the gunfire. The suspect dropped his rifle and fled. I am told that the shooter's position on the golf course would possibly have been in line of sight of President Trump had they not been stopped. If you are joining us right now, a man with a rifle, allegedly an AR-15, was stalking President Trump at his golf course. This man was in a gunfire exchange with Secret Service. He had a GoPro with him. He fled in a vehicle. He has now been apprehended. Fox News just reported that they can confirm that the shots were fired by Secret Service at the gunman carrying an AK-47. Correction, AK-47. Gunman did not get off shots. Secret Service saw, engaged, and pursued the threat to former President Trump before anything could happen on the golf course. Remarkable. Police have recovered a backpack, a semi-automatic rifle, a GoPro camera. They think the attempted Trump shooter wanted to film it. Okay. Boys, do we have this loaded up? If so, let's just play this, and then we'll get to Eric Prince. Ladies and gentlemen, here's CNN's reporting on this. This is CNN's law enforcement experts reporting on what they know. Go.
So, I mean, I'll caveat this with this is unfolding rapidly, so all of this information is preliminary, and it may shift and change, as we've seen before. But what we are looking at is starting to come into focus a little more sharply. So this is what we have right now from law enforcement sources who have been briefed on this, and it appears that around 2 o'clock, shots were fired at the golf course, possibly coming from the tree line while former President Trump was playing golf. The Secret Service identified the direction, and the shooter returned fire at that gunman who fled. Witnesses were able to provide a description of an individual and a vehicle. We are told that a vehicle that is close to that description has been stopped by Palm Beach County police, possibly in Martin County, just over the line, and that they are holding that individual for the purposes of identification.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you got them, if you are a member here on our channel, I want fights in the comment section. We have the chat up and rolling. We want you to pray for the president, and we want fights in the chat. Use that emoji today. Make sure that the world can see you, President Trump, standing defiantly once again after another assassination attempt. Joining me now, ladies and gentlemen, is somebody who many say should be the individual who is protecting President Trump. He is the founder of Blackwater, a veteran, and he is somebody who knows more about securing America and securing America's treasure more than any man alive, I believe. Eric Prince, ladies and gentlemen, and joins us live now. Eric, thank you so much for jumping on short notice. I'm sure this comes as a shock to you, or maybe it doesn't. Please.
It's just disgusting. Thank God the Secret Service was doing advance. I'm glad they're the ones that apparently got first shots off. I've taken a look. From what I've heard, the guy was approaching, the advance was approaching the 5th hole of the golf course, of the Trump golf course. Now, that appears to be in the northeast corner of the golf course. And so if the shooter managed to flee by foot and get into a vehicle from the north side, about the closest the guy could have been to the 5th hole and have a clear shot is about a 150-yard shot. Again, not much farther than the guy from Butler, Pennsylvania had. But if you look, it's in the northeast corner of the golf course. There's a canal immediately on the north side. He could have skirted along that canal, along that tree line. That's probably where they found him. Thank God the president wasn't hurt. But again, I demand that that individual be very vigorously interrogated, and especially every electronic device that guy has been around for the last 6 months of his life must be third party examined. Do not leave it to the FBI, because we haven't heard anything of the details of the electronics of the shooter from Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's see who this shooter interacted with and who put him up to this, who radicalized him, or who paid him to do this.
Yes. That does seem to be the main difference off the top, is that the shooter is alive and has been apprehended. What does this then mean for an investigation?
It should lead to, well, first of all, that individual should be protected and make sure he remains alive so that he can be made to testify. B, again, I think his electronics will provide a more accurate trail than even what his whatever words come out of that shitbag's mouth.
Yes.
And again, there's been nothing on the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter.
Yes.
Perhaps it'll be different this time.
So when you, and I'm sure you're familiar here with,
and this is, and one other thing, Benny.
Yes.
I hope that sheriff who just gave a press conference, whose officers made the stop, this is probably a time they need to flex up and say, this happened in our jurisdiction. I don't care if you think it's federal only. We're demanding co-equal representation in this investigation. We demand all the information, and we're not rolling over for the FBI because they screwed it up last time. Clearly, this is a trend that we must not allow to continue.
Yes. You have obviously been responsible for the protection of hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of lives in very dangerous locations, and the most dangerous locations on Earth. When a gunman has a GoPro, in my industry, if you have a GoPro, what you're looking to do is you're looking to engage in some type of extreme activity and to film it from a first-person perspective. What the
and
GoPro
to get credit for it.
Yes. What the GoPro says to me is that they wanted to kill President Trump and have it all on video. What is your takeaway from this engagement?
Again, I think it's looking at the trail of this guy's electronics, what he's done for the last 6 months or for the last 6 years should tell that story. And if we want to have an absolute, the disinfectant characteristics of transparency, that's what must be done. Lay it out there. Let's see everyone this person has communicated with for the last 6 years, and let the public judge who's responsible.
Yes. So the way that this engagement happened was a Secret Service agent or team was working forward as President Trump was golfing. Now, we've been out on the course with President Trump golfing. This was a standard procedure. We've sort of seen the security measures around President Trump. They go one hole ahead. So you can assume, as you just stated, that President Trump would have been within rifle range because they were right ahead of the president when they engaged. Why was this individual able? And I'm very sorry, sir. We do have the press conference that it does look like will be starting soon. Okay, false alarm. But the press conference will be starting soon, and we will go to that in Palm Beach. Why was this individual allowed on the golf course? How could they have been so close to the president?
Well, that's the thing. If you look at the northeast corner of the golf course, that's literally the boundary, and there's a canal, there's a drainage canal, and it's open area. So it's not like there's a major fence or other barrier. Someone from the public could have, I'm sure the shooter parked his car, walked along the tree line, laid down to where he had a line of sight of the fifth hole, and he clearly had an exit plan. And when he got engaged, he ran away. Again, it doesn't look like there was a fence that he had to get through. He just had to move along a tree line to exfil himself.
So we have the map of the course up right here.
On the bottom, so the fifth hole is in the bottom left corner of that map.
We'll zoom here so that everyone can see it. There we go. Hole number 5 right there, just as you were talking about, Mr. Prince.
Yep. And directly on the bottom of that, there's a drainage canal, and to the left, there's a major road. So his vehicle could have been parked along that road, running top to bottom there. And that fifth hole, he could be along that tree line, about where your mouse is. No, a little bit to the left.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where he was set up. That's what I'm surmising. Again, this is information that's 30 minutes, an hour old.
Yep.
But based on our collective analysis of the facts so far, that's probably where he was set up. Now, there's a drainage ditch running along the bottom of that map. It's Florida. There's lots of drainage canals. But I don't think there was a major fence or barrier. So you could have come off that road, set up in the tree line, waited till there was a direct line of sight, and about the closest he could get there is, yeah, there you go. Zoom in. Nope, move left. Bottom left corner of the golf course.
Yep, right there. Yep, okay. Zoom. Yep, right there.
Yep, there's the fifth hole. And to be in that tree line along that bottom edge, the closest he could get is 150 yards.
I hate to ask hypotheticals here, Mr. Prince, but since my entire social media feed is clogged with people saying that you should be put in charge of President Trump's security detail, would you let the president golf a course like this that had open access points to the public?
Well, look, at this point, it's not even firearms that are your major threat. I would still worry more about drones even at this point. The fact that they're only checking one green ahead is troublesome. The fact is, I would put an armed law enforcement in every tree line, everywhere where a natural predator would set up to take a shot from. That's how serious this has to be taken.
You came on our program at the RNC convention, and you told us that this may not be the last assassination attempt on President Trump. It was one of the last things you said on our program, and now it turns out you've been proven right.
Unfortunately, yes. And, the rhetoric of the left equating Trump to Hitler, they're hugely responsible for this, because everyone thinks Trump being Hitler justifies any behavior to stop it. And you know what? I fear way more about a Bolshevik takeover of our government, and that seems to be what the left is driving towards.
You say that the Palm Beach Authority should not cede all power to the feds here. And
no way.
Can you please expound on that? Because I have a feeling that that's going to be a large takeaway line here.
And even the governor of Florida should exert co-equal control on this. This happened in Florida's territory. The state governor has a direct interest in making sure this doesn't happen again in his state. Clearly, the federal government is incapable of doing these investigations if they're too political or too fraught with bias. So again, let the state government flex up, back the local government, and say, enough. We want co-equal information on everything here. And I would not even turn that guy over to the feds until he has been thoroughly investigated, interrogated by the state and local authorities.
We've covered this extensively and had on members of the task force to investigate the Butler shooting, and they've come on this program, sir, and raged that all of the evidence was scrubbed, that the body was cremated, and that effectively they've been handed an empty bag by the FBI.
Yep. And exactly. And there's nothing that says the state government has to turn over any of this stuff to the feds. They can take a copy of everything that's on his phone, the registration of the vehicle, whatever DNA is in that vehicle, whatever DNA they might find on the shooter's rifle, all those things, a fully co-equal, fully transparent investigation run by the state of Florida must be done.
Can you please, since we know that the governor follows our accounts quite closely, can you please give a message to Governor DeSantis from your security expertise and perspective on this.
Governor DeSantis, love what you've done with the state of Florida. Now is the time to prove the Florida Bureau of Investigation's merit in cracking this crime and not brushing it under the rug like happened in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I believe that if at the very least, what this would provide is transparency, that then all of us could agree on the terms. Because what we saw in Butler was Thomas Crooks, the FBI contacting Gab, saying that we have the account of Thomas Crooks. He's a far left winger who supports Joe Biden. You can see that through his posting. And the owner of Gab coming out and saying, here are all of his posts. This guy is a left wing Joe Biden supporter. The next day, the FBI comes in and testifies that he's actually a right winger. And I don't know if that the intention there is to confuse or to cross the wires. But guess which narrative the corporate press run with?
Of course. Exactly. So again, the state government has a huge role in this, in preventing assassination and murder in their state. Clearly, the federal government cannot be trusted here. Sadly,
yes.
It's a time for Governor DeSantis to flex up and to see that this is done properly.
Well, what would you rate? What would you rate what we know now as far as a threat to the president's life? I believe you'd have to assume that this is in the category of Butler, wherein if President Trump got to that tee box, then he would have been shot. Do you agree with that?
150 yards from the tree line with an M4 style rifle is a very, very close range shot, and it would have been lethal. Absolutely.
And the prevention,
a 5.56 bullet against a 78-year-old man, not a good outcome.
And of course, on the golf course, you are out in the open. You are
yes.
laid bare, and and also, especially as you're teeing up, it's probably even less movement and an easier target than potentially Donald Trump at a moving and gesticulating on stage.
Correct. Look, if the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter had shot at his torso instead of his head, Donald Trump would be dead.
How would this gunman have known where Trump was?
Well, that's a very good question, because I don't think this golf outing was on his public schedule.
Of course not. We know his public schedule. We're very tied in with his team. We're very close with President Trump's team and can get a hold of dozens of members of his inner circle, as I'm sure you can at any moment. And we had no idea he was golfing today in Palm Beach.
So the question is, was there a staffer at the golf course that was too chatty or what? But again, thorough proctology of the shooter's electronics should start to indicate where that leakage came from. And again, do not turn him over to the feds. Keep him in a state facility or a county facility. I don't care if you have to put National Guard around it. Do the investigation first at the local and state level. Only when you're satisfied that it's complete, then turn it over to the feds. But the feds have lost the credibility to maintain leadership on this, period.
Wow. Well, what does this say? Can you please assess the Supreme Court? I'm sorry, correction. Can you please assess the Secret Service here and their engagement of the shooter? The reports that we have now are that the Secret Service fired first. This does seem to be a slight change in what happened in Butler.
Thanks be to God that their agents saw a barrel, saw what obviously was a threat, a weapon. Anybody that shows up with a long gun on a golf course is not there hunting ducks. I'm glad they shot first, but I'm really glad they caught this guy.
Yes. So they've caught him alive. We'll see. I guess we still await. We'll pop it up right here. We'll await at the podium. We do have a picture of what is allegedly the individual in custody. Here, Mr. Prince, we have a gentleman who's been going back and forth on the podium, and so has not spoken yet. Here is and we'll go right back when they start. Here's allegedly a photo of the individual in custody. Again, this is unconfirmed. Picture of the man in custody after the attempt on Donald Trump's life. This man is 58 years old, they say. I don't have a name yet. All right. There we go. All right. Here we go. The press conference starts. Thank you, thank you, Eric Prince.
We get done.
You bet, guys. Thanks.
Think about your questions, because we're not going to take a lot. and keep them to the information that you heard. Don't get into what ifs, and because of this, we're not going to go there, all right? So keep that in mind, and we'll be good. So here we go. All right, 1:30 this afternoon. Call came out, shots fired. That was called in by the Secret Service. Because we're in constant contact with them all the time, we were notified of that, and we had units here that immediately sealed off the area. Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy. After that, we took the the witness that witnessed the incident, flew him up there, and he identified as the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car. Now, in the bushes where this guy was is an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now. The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job. What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off. So that's what we know about the investigation. We have somebody in custody right now that is a potential suspect. We got a little bit more work to do on it, but as we usually do, as soon as we decide that we're going to book him into the county jail and the charges that he's going to be booked into, we'll get those to you and we'll get a picture of him and we'll get you his background. So now I'm going to turn it over to the representative of the Secret Service, and he's going to make a brief statement.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I first want to thank all of our law enforcement partners, to include the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and the Martin County Sheriff's Office, for their involvement today. Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed following a protective incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matter is under investigation. I'll turn it over to my partners over at the FBI.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Veltri. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Miami field office. The FBI has assumed the role as the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident that occurred earlier today at Trump International Golf Course here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We've deployed a number of resources, including the investigative teams, crisis response team members, bomb technicians, and evidence response team members as well. What we need right now is for the public to avoid the area around the golf course. We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners with the United States Secret Service and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, as well as Martin County Sheriff's Office and state and local law enforcement. I would ask that if anyone has any information that may assist with this investigation, to contact our tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI or at tips, that's TIPS .fbi.gov. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Ehrenberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County. I want to thank Sheriff Bradshaw and our partners at the local, state, and federal levels. I'm here because our prosecutors are currently working up warrants and a motion for pretrial detention for the suspect. In that way, he will be kept in custody. But our filing of these warrants and charges at the state level does not preclude federal charges that could be coming. But in the meantime, it looks like the warrants and the pretrial detention motion will happen first. And again, I want to thank the cooperation we've had with our federal partners and at the local level. And thank you all for being here today.
Okay, we're going to make these pictures available to you. It'll show you a picture of the backpack and the rifle. And there's also a GoPro on the fence there where he was intent on filming what was going on. Even though we're going to have to secure a couple of areas around the golf course here, the public doesn't need to panic. We know that we got a post office, a library, and a school down the street. So we'll make it convenient for you to get to all the places you need to go, get your kids to school, get them over here to the post office or wherever else you need to go. It's safe. There's no more danger here, and we'll make it very convenient for you. So having said that, we're going to take a very limited amount of questions, and you can direct them to who you want to answer the question.
Sure. Did this individual make any statements as he was being detained?
No statement right now as far as his involvement in the incident, and there's further investigation to be completed.
What was his demeanor like?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the first gentleman answered. I misunderstood. I understand. So there was a rifle. So one of your agents saw on the golf course saw a rifle pointing to a fence with a chain link. Okay, so he saw that. The agent.
That is correct. Yes.
And the president or the former president was on the course behind him. How close?
It was 1 or 2 holes behind.
100%.
That because the bubble moves through the golf course, so our agents will get there first, clear it. He noticed that the rifle was pointed out. Our agents engaged. We are not sure right now if the individual was able to take a shot at our agents, but for sure our agents were able to engage with the subject. I don't know that.
Doesn't appear so.
Is there more?
Yep. Al.
How far away was the president? How far away was Donald Trump when this gentleman was caught and stopped?
Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
For the Secret Service, how far was your agent?
Wow.
That I'm not sure right now. We're still looking into it.
Reports of the 4 rounds being initially fired. Were all 4 of those from your agent?
That is correct. 4 to 6. We're not sure yet.
Was there a long distance? Explaining why.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering what how this was able to happen, and for future reference, is there any up security in the golf course?
I didn't hear all that. Say that one more time and talk up a little bit.
So how was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any up security in the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right. And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Which direction was the shrubbery where he was? North, south? I guess east, west, or south is the road?
The layout of the golf course, you've got 3 holes, 5, 6, and 7, right? One of them runs parallel to Summit Boulevard. One of them runs parallel to Congress. And he was in an area in the shrubbery where he could see both holes. So the president was another hole back, which means he's about between 400 and 500 yards away.
So he was on the golf course?
Oh, he's on the golf course, yeah, but he's back a ways.
For the Secret Service, have you guys changed at all the way that you guys are protecting former President Donald Trump? This now potential second attempt on him. Can you just elaborate on how things have changed and what you make of all this?
Yes, the threat level is high. We have increased the amount of assets that we've supported, so we live in danger times. So yes.
We're done with questions right now. There's really nothing more for us to add. I just want to tell you, The Secret Service and the FBI and the State Attorney's Office have been fantastic to work with. And I can tell you right now, our agency with this real-time crime center was fabulous. That's how we got the guy. We started out with, we don't know anything, to where we had a tag, we had a vehicle description, and we got an area where we saw the person. So be proud of your law enforcement. All right, thanks, folks. We'll get back to you.
Where on 95 was it?
Yeah, she'll get the photos to you.
Wow, that was remarkable, remarkable, remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, I mute myself. We try our best with the audio. I know that some people can't hear. It's not our fault. We have it cranked as high as we can possibly get it. Sometimes these things are put together and they're very the audio is really rough, and so we apologize if it was low on your end. It's the best that we can possibly do. We're working on ways to fix it, but it's hard when when these things are put together very quickly to get the crisp, very loud audio that we want to broadcast. So we apologize for that. So let me reiterate what we just learned. What we learned was that this was well thought out. The gunman had 2 backpacks with ceramic tile that he was going to use. Get me those photos, guys, as soon as we can. Get me those photos because he just released them. He set up a barrier for him to shoot from. Do you? I don't have a backpack with me, but you understand what's going to happen here is here. We got this there. Yeah. So you have a ceramic tile that is meant to be a shield because the ceramic tile will absorb the bullet. And there are 2 of these set up on the fence line. He was going to shoot through the fence line and return fire was going to hit the backpack. This was thought out. This was a sophisticated assassination attempt. That's what he means. If that was confusing to you, this backpack would hang there and we can see the photos. Guys, send me the photos. Get it up as soon as you can. He released the photos. It must be all over social media. Get it up as soon as you can, guys. These are the photos. Here we go. You can see they attempted to murder, this gunman attempted to murder the president through what would have been actually a more sophisticated assassination attempt than we saw in Butler. Because in Butler, the guy was just wobbling around on the roof line, gangly, nervous, swinging his gun everywhere. This person had thought through it. And what do we do in Butler? In Butler, we actually showed you the fence line. Man, this is getting me nervous. Guys, get Eli Crane or somebody from the task force on. I want Corey Mills to come on because we went and stood at the fence line in Butler and said the next time Trump gets assassinated, load up our documentary. I want that documentary. I want to make sure that we play the full thing. We went to the fence line in Butler, Pennsylvania and said, man, I'm getting chills, and said the next assassination attempt will probably be from the fence line because the defense line was left completely open. And we had tactical expert Corey Mills, who's a member of Congress who represents this area in Congress, actually, who's efforting joining the program, by the way. We'll see if the congressman can join us, saying that the fence line is actually the place to fire at President Trump. They need to secure these fence lines. And here we have the photo. This is the best that we have right now. The photo of a gunman setting up what was a kill box there from the fence line. So the gunman would have fired presumably from behind those backpacks. And when the return fire came in, the return fire would have hit the ceramic tiles. This was sophisticated. This was thought out. This was a thought out assassination attempt. They have the suspect in custody. I do not trust the sniveling FBI. You can always tell the guys who were with the FBI. You can always tell. I do not trust these guys. I really hope, I beg of you, guys, get up right now. The comments from Eric Prince, we must create a drumbeat that DeSantis must not turn this over to the feds. This is DeSantis' moment to flex. Let's go. Let's go. This happened in Florida. This has the Florida Department of Investigations and Law Enforcement And Florida special service operators have every right to all of this information, and I hope they do not turn this guy over to the feds. Get that clip up and loaded. I want to create a massive movement for us in Florida to say, no, we will have co-sharing of all information, all interrogations, and we are not going to ship this guy off to D.C. to be whitewashed, to be scrubbed within an inch of his life. Now, what do we know about the shooter? We have more breaking information here. I thought this was quite interesting. Maps of attempted Trump assassination attempts. Whoo, baby. Do you know that just this week, Kamala Harris said that Donald Trump is the greatest threat since the Civil War? Just this week, Kamala Harris sat on stage and had the bloody cheek to say that President Trump is the worst threat to democracy since the Civil War. What do you expect is going to happen, you witch? These people, they'll stop at nothing. They'll stop at nothing. Incredible. Here's an account that I hate online saying, I can't believe people are falling for this at the news of President Trump's next assassination attempt. This individual was invited to the White House. The person who runs this account was invited to the White House for an official organized visit from the former chief of staff. In case you're wondering if they actually care. Do we have any commentary from Barack Obama? Do we have any words from Joe Biden? Anything from Kamala Harris yet? The person detained as shooter at the Trump golf course is a white male in his mid-60s. White male in his mid-60s. White male in his mid-60s. This is such an important question, and we ask this. How did this gunman know where President Trump was? I got to tell you, we as a site we love it when Trump's out on the golf course. We've gone to Trump's golf courses. We've done documentaries on Trump's golf courses. We didn't know Trump was at the golf course. ALX, gut check me on this. None of us knew. This is like kind of funny. None of us knew that President Trump was at the golf course today. How did the shooter? Who told them? Okay. Who tipped off the shooter that President Trump was at the golf course today? Oh, all right. Okay. Well, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is breathtaking. Breathtaking. Kamala Harris and Democrats, even this morning, saying that Trump needs to be taken out on TV, that Donald Trump is the greatest threat to the country. They're trying to blame the MAGA movement for hate crimes right now. President Trump was the target of another assassination attempt right now. Here's Kamala Harris's post. Let's put it up. I haven't seen it. I don't want to report fake news. If Kamala Harris has made a statement, I do not wish to, obviously, I don't want to alliterate outside of it, but I've been briefed on the reports of gunfire fired near former President Trump, his property in Florida. You notice how they never do that with Obama? They only ever call him President Obama. They say former President Trump. They never say that about Obama. Former President Trump and his property in Florida. I'm glad he is safe. Violence has no place in America. This is a weak ass statement. This is a weak ass statement, ladies and gentlemen. This was the setup. Let's go ahead. Let's go through some of the breaking news that we have right now. That is, again, the setup with the backpacks. Picture of Trump's shooter's setup revealed. Palm Beach. Here's Eric Prince once again. Please assume direct control. This is so important. We are going to push this with everything we've got. Governor DeSantis, when it comes to President Trump having an assassination attempt on and inside of the state of Florida, please assume direct control of the investigation into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Tell the feds to wait in line until Florida resources have gone and done a thorough, transparent look into all the evidence. The feds have dropped the ball thoroughly in Butler, Pennsylvania. Time for Florida to have the day, especially since this happened only 300 meters from the state forensics lab. That's very interesting. I did not know that. Let's make sure that we give this love, and we are going to full-throatedly support this endeavor. Sheriff on Trump's security. He is not the sitting president. If he was, he would have had the entire golf course surrounded. Because he's not, the security is limited to areas the Secret Service deems possible. Well, that's never good. That's not a good look. Not a good look. Palm Beach County Sheriff Bradshaw, Secret Service was able to spot the rifle sticking out of the bushes fired at the suspect, who had 300, 400 yards away from the president, saying that President Trump was in danger. Incredible. That President Trump was in danger. In the bushes where the suspect ran from, the Secret Service or law enforcement found an AK-47 style rifles with a scope, 2 backpacks, ceramic tile, GoPro for taking photos. They wanted to live stream this. They wanted to live stream a live execution of President Trump. There is no other explanation. Fortunately, we were able to locate the witness, came to us and said, hey, I saw this guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into the black Nissan, took a picture of the vehicle with the tags, which was great. Secret Service, who spotted this, opened fire, did a fantastic job. Police ran the license plate. They tracked the vehicle. Martin County Sheriff's Office alerted him. They spotted the vehicle, and they pulled him over and detained him. Witness has identified the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car. Secret Service representative uttered this statement. He thanked the Palm Beach Sheriff Office for their involvement. Donald Trump is safe and unharmed, although they said, and can we please get this loaded up, boys? They said that with this scope and with this rifle, Donald Trump was sitting duck. That's what they said. Donald Trump was sitting duck. Here's the individual that was detained. Here's the individual that was detained. Producers, please let me know if we have any other footage. Obviously, they're going to have body cams. They have this man alive. They have this man in custody. You can see here, there's a set of sunglasses on his head. We can zoom. Sunglasses on his head. He looks younger, but apparently this is a 58-year-old man. Has a shirt up above his head. Possibly in handcuffs, but this is the best that we have. Producers, let me know if we have better photos of him right now. This is remarkable. Let's get this clip loaded, please. He's not the sitting president. Otherwise, we would have had the entire golf course surrounded. Really? You don't have the course surrounded? President Trump just took a bullet to the face, and you can't go surround the golf course? Astounding that there appears to have been a second assassination attempt on the shooter of President Trump's life just 9 weeks after the first one. If true, another stunning failure by the Secret Service. CNN saying AK-47 gas. Yeah, that's right. There is, I mean, arguably, this is better. Arguably, this is a better result than Donald Trump actually eating a bullet, which we saw in Butler, but not a good result, actually, because what they did was they allowed the shooter to be on the course with Donald Trump. The shooter was on the course with Donald Trump. Please load this up. Okay. Yeah, because I quite frankly, I do believe that. Let's look through this. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shots fired after they locked down the area. Man was in the bushes. Local witnesses took a picture. 1:30 p.m. And then you have the sheriff up here saying Donald Trump's not president, so we didn't lock down the golf course. This is insanity. This is insanity. Wow. Okay, let's listen one more time. Donald Trump wasn't president, so we just decided to let anybody who wanted to just kind of wander the golf course at the time.
Sheriff, did this individual make any statements as he was being detained?
No statement right now as far as his involvement in the incident, and there's further investigation to be completed.
What was his demeanor like?
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe the Secret Service gentleman answered. I misunderstood, or I couldn't quite understand. So there was a rifle. So one of your agents on the golf course saw a rifle pointing to a fence. Was it a chain link? Okay, so he saw that, the agent?
That is correct, yes.
And the president or the former president was on the course behind him. How close?
It was 1 or 2 holes behind.
1 or 2.
That because the bubble moves through the golf course, so our agents will get there first, clear it. He noticed that the rifle was pointed out. Our agents engaged. We are not sure right now if the individual was able to take a shot at our agents, but for sure our agents were able to engage with the subject. I don't know that.
Doesn't appear so.
Is there more?
Yep. Al.
How far away was the president How far away was Donald Trump when this gentleman was caught and stopped?
I got it. Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
For the Secret Service, how far was your agent from the would-be assailant?
That I'm not sure right now. We're still looking into that.
Reports of the 4 rounds of ammunition were fired. Were all 4 of those from your agent?
That is correct. 4 to 6. We're not sure yet.
Was there a long distance? Explain why.
Yes.
And
Yes, ma'am.
WPBX 25, I was wondering what how this was able to happen, and for future reference, is there any up security in the golf course?
I didn't hear all that. Say that one more time and talk up a little bit.
So how was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any up security in the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right. And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible.
Not the sitting president.
I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I'm sorry. I'm not going to take some white pill on this. Charlie Kirk saying they're going to keep trying to kill Trump. This is only the beginning. Stops when we win in November. I'm not going to take the white pill on this. I'm not that like, oh wow, like he didn't die this time. So that's great. Like it was another guy who was like this close to shooting him. But he's not, again, hey guys, he's not dead. So let's take a W. I've seen enough. Here, of course, is the Butler assassination attempt. This was just a few days ago, where a man rushed the stage. You probably didn't hear about this. A crazed lunatic rushed the stage with President Trump on stage. You can see Trump on stage right there. He had to be dragged away by a dozen members of security. He was close to Trump. You can see Trump there on stage. He climbed up on the rafters and was going to charge at Trump if given the opportunity. This just happened. This happened after the assassination attempt. What is going on? You possibly didn't see this, and ladies and gentlemen, again, we're combing our production team. Our entire production team is online and locked and loaded, combing the internet for you to find any further information here. This is the suspect's vehicle right there. I just want you to see right there. You can see where my cursor is. These are all the law enforcement here. This is the suspect's Nissan Pathfinder there. Looks like there's something in the back. And we have a Pathfinder that is stopped by Florida authorities. Do not turn this person over to the feds. Don't do it. This is something that slipped a lot of radars because it happened late on a Friday. We posted it, and it nuked. Senator Blumenthal is a guy who hates President Trump. He doesn't like President Trump at all. But Senator Blumenthal commenting, what we're about to find out from the Secret Service is grotesque, disgusting, sickening, and will shock the American people to their core. This is the way that a Trump deranged senator who hates Donald Trump is talking about the behavior of the Secret Service. At what point do you say the rot is so bad that you have to fire everyone? You have to burn the place down to the stump and allow something else to regrow. If this is how Democrats talk about the Secret Service, then what's really going on? Listen to this.
I think the American people are going to be shocked, astonished, and appalled by what we will report to them about the failures by the Secret Service in this assassination attempt on the former president. But I think they also ought to be appalled and astonished by the failure of the Department of Homeland Security to be more forthcoming, to be as candid and frank as it should be to them in terms of providing information And we are going to absolutely insist on the truth and the whole truth in documents and testimony as members of the United States Senate, but also as citizens.
What did you learn new today when you said they're going to be appalled?
I'm not going to go into what we have learned in specifics. I'm giving you my reaction, and we will have a report very, very soon that I think will absolutely shock the American people, or it should, about the lapses and lags in the protection that was afforded that day and the breakdown in communication, failure in responsibility.
Is that report coming today or tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
Is that report coming out tonight or tomorrow?
No.
It'll be soon. What? How bad is it if a Democrat is talking like that about what happened to President Trump? And why did we just hear somebody say in law enforcement, well, he's not the president, so, you know, we're just going to, I mean, we just, whatever, we just don't have the resources. Donald Trump is probably the highest value target on earth. There are so many evil forces that wish to stop this man from becoming president. It will continue. This will continue. The rhetoric hasn't even toned down. If anything, it has accelerated. Have you noticed that? The hyperbolic rhetoric that Trump is Hitler, that Trump is here as scumbag, Dan Goldman says, he says Donald Trump needs to be eliminated. This was today. This is despicable. This is the way that they're talking. And then they're surprised. They're shocked. They're shocked when one of the listeners for this program goes and tries to kill President Trump in a sophisticated manner today.
Unquestionable at this point that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
Okay. Wow. It's a real wonder. It's a real shock as to why people physically shoot and try to kill President Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Hannity in just a moment detailing a phone call that he just had with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has not, we have given you Donald Trump's statements so far. Donald Trump has released statements so far about what has happened. Donald Trump has not been on camera. Somebody who has been on camera is the man who made the arrest and who stopped the vehicle with the shooter. This is the only person on camera that we know has come face to face with the shooter. This is the sheriff describing.
Let me get in here. As we said, the suspect has been apprehended, and we want to toss now to the police in Martin County, Florida. They're speaking now.
Saw the vehicle, matched the tag, and then we set up on the vehicle by using what we do here. We pinched in the car, got it safely stopped, and got the driver in custody. Right now, as we speak, the FBI, Secret Service, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is at the scene. They've responded there. They'll take over the investigation. Our flatbed tow truck will tow the vehicle back to Palm Beach County, and I have a clear understanding from the investigators there that we actually do have the suspect that they were looking for in Palm Beach County.
Do we know that suspect's name yet?
We know his name, and the FBI clearly knows his name. I am not in a position to release that.
Why don't you release it? I will tell you what's happening right now. What's happening right now is they're scrubbing all of his social media. I'm telling you, that's what's happening. At this very moment, the FBI, they know exactly who this guy is. We have photos of the guy. We know a lot more than we knew in the aftermath of the last shooting. They know this guy. We have images of this individual. Man's social media. Oh, wow. Okay, so apparently they have contacted his social media. The man's social media is filled with recruiting people to fight for Ukraine. Please for Taiwan and anti-Israel content. More info soon. So apparently they have a social media. This is a good thing. She knows, but name is not public. This is Carol Markowitz, who is a columnist for the New York Post on Fox News and has a show on iHeartRadio. Carol Markowitz historically has been a very good source in Florida. She's reporting that this is the image of the suspect. Apprehended 50-year-old man filled with anti-Israel content calls to recruit people to fight in Ukraine. Oh, man. Holy smokes. So they know the name, and they are hopefully screenshotting all of this individual's social media so that there can be no lies about where he is from. A reminder that what they did with Thomas Crooks in Pennsylvania is say that he was a Republican, say that he was a big supporter of Donald Trump. That's why he wanted to shoot at Donald Trump. Idiot. No, this is false. The owner of Gab was contacted by the FBI about the account they believe belonged to the shooter, and that account was filled with pro-Biden propaganda, filled with defenses of Joe Biden against Donald Trump, filled with requests to put Donald Trump in prison and for bad outcomes for Donald Trump. So they have lied. They have lied. But apparently this was a sloppier job. And now this man is in custody. So hopefully the state of Florida does the right thing. Ron DeSantis, do the right thing. Ron DeSantis, flex your muscles. You know who these people are. Ron DeSantis has fought the feds and won before. Ron DeSantis, you stood up during the COVID mandates. You stood up to the federal government and the Biden regime. Stand up now. The residents of Florida, myself being one of them, are counting on you. Palm Beach County Sheriff, talking about the timeline here. Very important. 1:30 was the first shots fired. These shots were, according to the reports, fired by the Secret Service. Good outcome. The fact that a man could wander onto Donald Trump's golf course within 300 yards of President Trump. They said the guy was within 300 yards of President Trump. Are you a shooter out there? 300 yards is nothing. You know, the snipers train at 2,000 yards. 2,000 yards. They can hit people from another county. Now, I'm not saying that you need to make a bubble that's 2,000 yards around Donald Trump, but in the case of 100 to 300 yards, that's nothing. That's an easy shot. That's a training shot with iron sights. Units sealed off the area. Suspect jumped. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Suspect jumped out of the bushes and into the black Nissan. Reported the car and license plate. AK-47 scope, 2 backpacks, GoPro camera recovered. FBI leading the investigation. Trump safe after second assassination attempt since July 3rd. The shooter was 300 to 500 yards away. That is a pot shot for anybody with a good scope. Just unbelievable. Here is more information rolling in, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. 4 days ago. Look at that. That's a great point. This is a real-time magazine cover. President Trump on the golf course, looking behind him as some type of threat, presumably in trouble. What did Time Magazine know? They put this on the cover. This is dated September 30th. September 30th. So this is the Time Magazine cover. Here they are, predicting the future. Donald Trump on his golf course in trouble, looking behind him at some type of threat. Fearful. Oh my gosh, it's just remarkable. Just remarkable. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. We have our producers are telling me that we have more security experts who they are efforting to join the program, and they are working on it. So here we go. It is a absolutely wild time. I want to play you the boys. Do we have full Hannity loaded?
5 minutes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I want to play you because I think this is very instructive. Sean Hannity's conversation with President Trump. This is the only direct conversation that has been had with President Trump since this assassination attempt.
So long story short is President Trump, they were on the 5th hole. They were about to go up to putt. And the way Steve Witkoff, now, just as a little bit of background, Arthel, I happened to go to breakfast with Steve Witkoff and another friend of mine this morning. And I was invited to play golf. They happen to be really good golfers. I don't have a lot of time to play golf, so I said thank you, but I'm not going to go out on the golf course and get killed out there. But long story short, so they were playing, they were on the 5th hole. And the way Steve described this, the way the president described it, they both had exactly the same story, which was that they heard pop, 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 pop. And Steve went into great specificity and great detail as to what happened right after. Within seconds, the Secret Service pounced on the president, covered him, You had snipers with tripods. They knew the direction where the shots had been fired, and they had eyes on the location where the shots had been fired. And long story short, they were I have confirmed with both the president and with Mr. Witkoff that the gun has been found. They identified it as an AK-47, and thanks to Secret Service drone video coverage, they were able to identify one individual involved in this shooting getting into a car after dropping the AK-47. And my understanding, according to both of them, is that that car has been identified, and I believe it's been surrounded. Whether or not that person has been apprehended or not, I don't know. This happened in a matter of seconds. A little more color, a little bit more details on this is that when they got on top of the president, immediately what is called a fast cart that I believe has steel reinforcement and protection was able to whisk the president away. And then the Secret Service immediately sprung into action. They had eyes on where the shooting had occurred. I saw the New York Post report that these were two people shooting at each other outside the course. I do know, and they did confirm that the shots were outside of the course, but certainly seemingly within range of the former president. So we don't have any details on any of that. They don't know that part. I only know the part of what they experienced while they were playing golf at Trump International in West Palm. Thankfully, the president is safe. Steve Witkoff is safe. The Secret Service apparently acted with incredible speed and professionalism, and but certainly alarming in every way imaginable in light of what happened in Butler, as you mentioned.
Yeah, of course, this is very alarming. And Sean, have you spoken to the former president or texted with him?
I have spoken with the president 3 times since this incident, and each time I got a new piece of information. One, that they had found, first of all, what happened with the shooting. The second thing, that they had found that AK-47. Third, right, that their drone footage was able to give them enough surveillance to identify the exact car that the individual involved in this shooting got into. And further detail that they gave me was that they were updated and told that that car had been found, identified, was surrounded by law enforcement. I don't know what happened from there. It could not have been too far away. I would say the time frame was less than a half hour between the time that the shooting actually took place and they identified the car. So
I'm trying
on all
to
fronts,
find out, like, how is he doing? That's what we want to know. How is he doing, if you spoke to him?
Well, you really want to know the truth, Arthel? He goes, well, there's more details, because I did hear, and Steve Witkoff was very clear. The first thing the president did when he got back to the clubhouse was make sure that everybody else was okay. He didn't see his golf partner with him. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? Where's Steve? And then Steve says, I'm right here. He got in maybe a few minutes behind the president. The Secret Service was able to get everybody to safety. Everybody else was taken off the golf course. Then when the president found out everybody was safe and nobody had been harmed, I guess in typical fight fashion, Trump said to Steve, and then he related to me, I really wanted to finish the hole. I was even, and I had a birdie putt. And it was on the fifth hole, which shows a lot of, I think, guts and gumption, and very Trumpian, I guess, in every way. But, you know, the good news we can report is that in spite of this being in such close proximity to the president and others and the Secret Service, that they were not harmed and that they are in safety. And I know the investigation will go forward. Probably more details, I would imagine, as time unfolds.
Sean. So President Trump, upon another assassination attempt on his life, pulled a fight. This time, there weren't rolling cameras. This time, there weren't photographers, but President Trump immediately hunkered down and checked to make sure that everyone was safe around him, that him and his person was secondary. President Trump was tackled, apparently, by the Secret Service, was thrown into a secure vehicle, and upon Donald Trump getting to the safe house, made sure that everyone else was safe there, according to Sean Hannity, who spoke with President Trump. I'm checking with my producers. To see if Donald Trump has any on-camera appearances After the last assassination attempt, he was brought to a hospital, and then President Trump appeared walking off of a plane. Then he appeared 24 hours later at the RNC convention, if you'll remember the timeline and how that timeline tracked. This was, man, you get chills thinking about this. This was just a week after Donald Trump atomized Joe Biden's political career live on TV. This assassination attempt taking place almost exactly a week after Donald Trump very muscularly defended himself against Kamala Harris in a rigged journalistic assassination attempt on Tuesday night. These assassination attempts are taking place at the exact same timeline from the debates. Now, you'll remember that the scum, I use that word very purposefully. They are scum. The refuse of ABC News to not even ask President Trump a question about the assassination attempt. This was his first time on stage with a Democrat who wasn't endorsing him, like RFK or Tulsi Gabbard. This was his first time on stage with a Democrat, and ABC News refused to even say, we're sorry you got shot, and we're glad you lived. ABC News refused to say those words. Put it up, Clyde. Put it up. ABC News refused to say it. In case you're wondering what they think. Because if they were sorry, or if they cared, they would have said those things. They don't care, and they're not sorry. MSNBC, and I have to get to this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have Mark Geist join the program here in just 1 second, getting locked and loaded. This is a man who has done 12 years of service as interrogator, translator in the intelligence field. He's a co-author of 13-hour Staff Sergeant in the U.S. Marine Corps. I do want to lead into that with a clip of MSNBC effectively saying that Donald Trump is responsible for his own assassination attempt today. I know that sounds insane, but this is what MSNBC is saying right now. MSNBC just went on air and just had a reporter say that President Trump is responsible for another man intending a bullet for his skull. I can't believe it's real.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay, any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for us to have a unity type moment, but I think it's probably going to be pretty fleeting, as we've seen in the past.
We had a unity type moment, and you goblins, jackwagons, and asshats destroyed it by doing this to Donald Trump at the debate. Here is when the only time that President Trump brought up the fact that he was shot with a bullet through the ear, that a member of his own party, a supporter of his own party, Corey Comparative, was shot and killed by a far left-wing gunman. The only time that Donald Trump brought it up, put the photo up, the only time that this was brought up at the debate, and we saw Donald Trump live for 90 minutes. ABC News didn't ask a single question about it. In case you're wondering, who wants you to forget that this happened? ABC News didn't ask a single question about it. ABC News didn't apologize that this happened to President Trump. Donald Trump had to bring it up, and watch what happened.
The one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Shut up about getting shot. In case you're wondering if the media is even remotely, the corporate press is even remotely sad that Donald Trump survived. This is their response. This is why we are building independent journalism. This is why we beg you to support us and to follow our channel. Become a member if you wish. We're live today. We are live within 60 minutes of this news breaking. Within 60 minutes of this news breaking, and we are going to defeat the corporate press that wants you to forget that this happened. Thank you for supporting us. We love you. We care about you. And we have the entire team on. There's an entire team here that is so committed to making real news in a real channel that has real information that you can trust, that will not lie to you, that will not forget what happened to our president, and that will give you the truth. And we have been able to break those narratives before, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do it again. Right now, you're watching the most popular stream in America, actually, according to our producers. And we say that humbly, simply to say, this is our commitment to you. We will not let you down. We will be there for you. Thank you for being there for us. This is how we win. The name of the shooter, ladies and gentlemen, has been released. Here we go. The name of the shooter, Ryan Wesley Routh. If we can get that clip, please. Okay, they're sending the clip. Ryan Wesley Routh. It seems like there is a, okay, so there it is on screen. In these moments, there are these, there's a camp of people that are like, don't say the shooter's name. Don't ever give any, information about the shooter. Don't create more copycat. We're past that. Now we must know who he is. Who is he talking to? We know, for instance, that Iran has been trying to pay people to kill Donald Trump. Was it Iran? Was it a nation state? According to people who have his information, I assume my team is combing through his social media if it is still available. According to people who have his information, he was a Ukraine activist, an anti-Israel activist as well. And so this man clearly cared a great deal. But ALX says, producer ALX, who is, we call him ALX AI, says he's got the man's social media and is cataloging everything. So we'll know. We'll do our best, ladies and gentlemen. We may have beat the feds on this one. Ryan Wesley Routh is the name. Ryan Wesley Routh. We have producers coming through his social media, and perhaps we will learn more about who this individual was. Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, right now, and we deeply appreciate his patience as we get through this breaking news, is a man who understands interrogation, a man who was an interrogator and a translator in war. He was the STA Surveillance and Target Acquisition Platoon, 2nd Battalion, 9th Marines, made up of snipers and reconnaissance team to take out targets in war zones. His name is Mark Oz Geist. He's the co-author of 13 Hours, one of the best books and films I think ever made, arguably. Staff Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps, joins us now. Mark, thank you so much for being on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Benny.
Deeply appreciate your time. I would like to hone in a little bit on two things about your pedigree here. One, your snipe. I'm sure you've taken some long shots in your career, and I'm sure you can still hit a pretty penny from 1,500 yards with the right rifle and the right scope. Was President Trump in danger today at 300 yards with an AK-47 and a scope?
Of course he is. It would be a really good shot to be made, unless it's by somebody who is very highly trained. But, anytime you get within 1,000 meters or better of the president of the United States, whether that be Donald Trump or any other past president, there should be extreme measures taken to eliminate that ability for someone to get that close. And I do, just from what I've heard, I do believe that the State Department or the Secret Service, as the advanced party preceding Donald Trump, was able to neutralize this threat before it actually became life-threatening to Donald Trump.
And we commend them for at least taking aggressive action against a shooter. We did not see that in Butler. We have this footage of this is the only image that has been released of a backpack set up with tile, ceramic tile. Now, we do not have an extensive tactical background, but our background says, our basic knowledge says that this would have been defensive position to fire from. The tiles and the ceramics would have perhaps allowed for bulletproofing so that they could have taken shots at the president. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, most likely the correct term would probably be ceramic body armor or ceramic tiles for body armor. There are a lot of products out there now for students, with backpacks to be able to put those up when they're at school to have part of safety for active shooter. Wouldn't be surprised this was what we would call in the sniper community a final firing position. The individual was set up just the way he has those hanging on that fence line. If the target was to the front, then he was using those to probably limit any incoming fire from anybody else, which would probably have been a lesson learned from the previous attempt on Donald Trump's life.
Wow. So you believe that these shooters are then seeing what happened in Butler and then creating their own capacity to improve on the probability of a kill shot on President Trump?
Well, it's not just improve on the ability of taking out President Donald Trump, but also surviving that and being able to stay in the fight, because those two items right there, the backpack, if it has one, as well as if those are what they're saying they are, then that would be very likely what they would be set up for, is that right there.
So when you see a setup like this today at the golf course, the authorities just came on and said, hey, we don't have, he's not president, so he's not going to get the full protection. So some man can just approach his golf course and he's going to be within 300 yards. Do you believe that that's acceptable? Donald Trump is probably, I don't know what your estimation would be, but if you hate him or love him, he is the highest value target, arguably, in the world right now, with the biggest profile. That seems horribly reckless.
Well, I think that's they could always be doing a better job. I think the biggest threat right now, or the biggest encouragement for this type of activity towards our president, is the rhetoric that is being pushed by a lot of people on the left. The hate that has been spewed by so many people all the way back through 2016, when you had actors and actresses holding up a head of Donald Trump that was severed. After the debate, but prior to the first assassination attempt, President Biden had made the comment in his statement, and what following that was, there needs to be a target on him.
Yes.
Is President Biden saying that to intentionally inflame people? I don't necessarily believe so, but I do think that you have to be very careful of the wording that you're using, because they have made people hate Donald Trump so much, because that is the only way they win. They know that his policies are much more fluid and better for this country, the average American, than anybody else's, and they cannot match that. All you have to do is look back to the 4 years that he was president, to the 4 years that Biden has been, or the 3.5 years now that Biden's been president. What life would you rather have, the life then or the life now? They know they can't beat that, so they have been doing nothing but getting the people trying to hate Donald Trump.
So I would like to move very swiftly here to the breaking news, the man's name, and the fact that he is in custody. I believe he is currently in somewhere between state and federal custody. I assume that he's been passed off to the feds, but we're not exactly sure. We do have individuals saying they're going through his social media. However, we don't know. It's all speculation right now, and you obviously don't want to post the wrong social media account or like bring a bunch of hell on the wrong person. You need to confirm these things. Given your experience in interrogations, how important is the interrogation moments right now post assassination attempt with this man?
Well, in the interrogation, the sooner you can get to the suspect and get him in that, because the level of stress of being captured, of being caught, of being arrested is at its highest right now. And that pucker factor is going to really influence his ability, or whoever's doing the interview or the interrogation, to get him to talk, because the stress that he is under right now, and that person needs to be the one that is able to relieve that stress. And that's the approach that they should initially start with him, and continue to grab all the evidence they can. And people should be feeding the interrogator that information as it comes to be, so he knows more information about him and what he's doing and in his background, so they can ensure that they get a solid, good interrogation. And again, with the stress in the immediate interrogation, there's less likely chance of him actually lawyering up, which, we don't want that. I mean, if it is his right and it is his constitutional right, if he should do that, then of course they're going to recognize that and abide by that. But as an interrogator, as a former law enforcement as well, I prefer them not to do that. I call it a non-custodial interrogation. So they are free to go, that kind of thing. It makes them feel more comfortable to talk, because that stress makes them want to come out and tell what they did. With if there's social media, with the fact that he had a GoPro, he wanted to record this. He wanted to be that guy, that hero to the left, whether it's connected to anybody on a bigger plot. Again, I don't think we have any information that would indicate that yet. And that's what should be going forward. But I do believe that Governor DeSantis and the state of Florida should probably kind of secure this individual, protect him, because there is the possibility of him then committing suicide as well, because of the stress and everything that's going on with him right now. So he needs to be protected from himself, for sure. And we need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes. Eric Prince was on a couple of minutes ago in the last hour. I'm sorry, breaking news environments, everything is liquid. But in the last hour, Eric Prince was on saying they've got to stop him from being suicided. They've got to prevent this individual from being taken out, and was very muscularly calling for Ron DeSantis to assert the privilege of the state of Florida, since this is where the crime happened, to protect, for lack of a better term, this individual in lockdown testimony and lockdown evidence. You're saying that these hours are crucial for that to happen. You have an extensive background in interrogation yourself.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is very crucial that they make sure that they have him secure in a safe location where, at a minimum, he cannot do harm to himself. And I do believe that Governor DeSantis should, as you said, take custody of this, take control of this, because it can always be charged again at the federal level. But this is his jurisdiction right now, and the Attorney General of Florida should be reaching out, exercising that jurisdiction, and ensuring that it is not impeded on by the federal government at this time.
It's a great point. Ashley Moody, we know her well. She's been on the program and she lives up the street. And so it's like very important. It's going to be very important for us to make that point. I believe that the federal government, and I hate to have to say this, but it is true that the federal government has lost all of their credibility in managing this correctly. And it is egregious. Members of the task force investigating the first assassination attempt, that we have to say now that there have been multiple, have told us that the body was cremated, all of the evidence was scrubbed, that effectively the FBI has handed over an empty box to them, filled with ashes when it comes to evidence. And it seems, that seems quite frankly despicable.
Yeah, if that's true, that's just that is without any trial, without just because he's dead doesn't mean the case is closed.
Yes.
They still need to go into further investigation to determine concisely that whether or not there is any other people involved, whether that be other people that are non-government or government, whatever it is, because right now it is imperative that we repair the trust of the American people in our law enforcement, both local and our law enforcement at the federal level. Because if that doesn't happen, this country is not going to stay a country as it is today.
Mark, this is very important. You served your country and you co-authored I believe one of the most important books ever written that was turned into what I believe to be one of the best movie adaptations of real life events ever written, 13 Hours. If you haven't seen it or if you haven't read it, I cannot encourage you enough to go read it. You are a expert. You are one of the world's experts in foreign attempts on the lives of Americans. You detailed this at length. There have been threats from Iran against Donald Trump's life. I don't pretend to be a foreign policy guy that really knows these things in this landscape. I would like to cede to you to kind of explain what is the chances that potentially a nation state had a hand in this, or that this was coordinated potentially overseas. We do know that the shooter in Pennsylvania did have overseas profiles on certain social media accounts, if the federal government is to be believed.
And that is something that has to be looked into. Because there have been threats by the IRCG, the Iranian Republican Guard, that they need to make sure that that first one wasn't or was, as well as this one had no other tenets or tentacles reaching out across the ocean. That is one reason why any evidence that had been destroyed, whoever destroyed that, in my opinion, from being a law enforcement officer, from being a police chief, is they should be prosecuted for destruction of evidence. And because now there's no way to allow or to ensure what did and didn't happen and who had any input on the individuals that have attempted this and why they've taken this extreme step to thinking that this is something that is positive for this country.
So you believe that this needs to be thoroughly investigated. Now I'm seeing across. I'm going to check in with my production team here and make sure that we're okay to put some of this up. I'm starting to see some social media posts that are coming in that have been confirmed by our production team here as the individual who is currently in custody. Some accounts on some posts on X and what looks to be some posts on Facebook. And they do happen to have, I'd like, since we're on this topic, I would love to get your opinion on this, sir. We can put up the first Facebook one. Ryan Ralph, I'm unclear what part of Israel the Jews owned. Basic historic map. Judea, perhaps. It seems historically to all be Palestine. And then there's another post about Ukraine, where he says, I put up banners and fly flags in Taiwan's Peace Park, hopes of increasing international civilian support. My hope is that we could mirror the Baltic states and encircle Taiwan. He seems to have certainly an eye out to foreign policy. These are some of the first posts that are being pushed forward to us. So it does seem that this man had it was very intent on American diplomacy around the world and a potentially conflict.
Yeah, it does. It looks like he's wanting to, to be involved in that. He definitely has an opinion on that, which is great. That's his First Amendment right. But when we see things like this, they raise up a little bit of a red flag at times by the manner of speech and how it is employed, and to what areas that is being responded to as well would be information that I'd be looking for, because it needs to be tracked down. Is there people that are influencing these people to take this action, or is it them being lone wolves acting upon their own. Those are things that we have to find out so we can address it as a security person from the secret, as having protected and been an advisor to the president or the former prime minister of Iraq, Dr. Ayad Alawi. Anytime threats like this would come on, we would be looking at all of the information to determine how to best employ the assets that we had to ensure the safety of the protectee.
So we have now other posts pouring in. I just want to confirm to everyone here that this is breaking, and that this is confirmed via our production team to be the man in custody right now. It turns out that he really despises Donald Trump, saying that Trump would do nothing for the murdered firemen at his rally, begging Joe Biden to do things, and saying that Joe Biden was what a real leader is around the world. Threatening Vladimir Putin, saying he wants to buy a rocket from Elon Musk to kill Putin, which is just crazy, but putting out what seems to be his cell phone number in his email. And then tweeting directly at Donald Trump, saying that you're a disappointment, you're getting worse, you're devolving, you are retarded, and I will be glad when you are gone. So this is one of the last posts. This does not seem like a very stable individual.
No, it's not. And, there's having gone from just some of the things I see in this without really going into it, he's not putting information out correctly. He's misspelling, misidentifying the date 2106 instead of 2016. Which indicates to me that there's probably a little bit of stress going on when he sent this out. He knows that something like this would probably be tagged. So he's really worried I would be worried about that. And I'd be looking into that, going from how he was a supporter of him to, devolving into a retarded, calling him retarded and things like that it's a red flag on what this person is and should be looked into, should have, without violating his rights as a U.S. citizen, should also just continue to follow what he's saying and ensuring that he never became that threat would be things that I would be looking at from the security standpoint.
We're praying for peace in this program. However, as you have alliterated for us in this interview, sir, there is such a difference in the hyperbolic rhetoric around President Trump. It just inspires. It is inspired now, threat after threat after threat, and assassination attempt after assassination attempt. And in between these two assassination attempts, people forget a psychotic man stormed the stage and tried to get at President Trump at a rally in between these two assassination attempts. If this had happened to Joe Biden, God forbid, or Kamala Harris, God forbid, that there would be a full court press for anybody who has ever criticized her or ever taken a tact that could be misconstrued. Those people would be banished. And do you think there'll be a reckoning here? Do you think there'll be an actual reckoning here finally after the second attempt?
Well, I really hope so, and I think that's one reason. Just because there's more faith in, I think, law enforcement at the local level than at the federal level, they should start. Federal level could also be working side by side with them, hand in hand, doing their own investigation and gathering that as a group instead of as one taking over the other. Again, leaving that in the hands of the locals and investigating that, because where they're at and where this occurred at, the law enforcement agencies that are there at the state level, at the city level, are the highest and best trained. They've investigated this type of thing probably far more than what the FBI has. So I think it's just imperative that we ensure that happens. I think President Trump should, if he has any weight in it, but Ron DeSantis definitely should. And we should be looking at that. And, people talk about that hand. We as a country do need to come together. We can have differences of views. We can have different points of view. But when you have people who have the influence that some of these actors and actresses and entertainers and politicians do, it's imperative that they be careful on the language that they use. And we have not seen that on the left. They keep calling out Trump for that, but I have not seen anything where he's held up the head of any opponent that as a decapitated. I haven't seen him or heard him say anything about putting a target on somebody. That has come from people that are high up on the left. I mean, how many senators and Nancy Pelosi herself have made statements that have been very, very enticing or influencing hate and hate rhetoric. And that should not be allowed. And we should be better people than that.
Yes. Any given moment on cable TV, you can turn on and find a Democrat saying we need to take out Trump. He must be eliminated. He is the greatest threat to the country. Kamala Harris just said it in a debate less than a week ago. You're the greatest threat to the country this side of the Civil War. That is psychotic, sir. You fight wars. That is truly psychotic rhetoric that leads to this happening.
Yes, it does. It influences people. It gives people, empowers people who may not have all their mental faculties, who may be struggling with a mental illness. It empowers them to do something like they are doing it for them, and that is just uncalled for. You know, this country. Whether you are Christian or any other religion, it does not matter. I've had Muslims save my life. I've had Muslims try to kill me. I've been in the Far East, the Middle East, all over the world in my career. And one thing that I've found with most of the people I've ever dealt with at the ground level in the cities is that they all want the same thing for their families. They want peace. They want prosperity. And that's really what we are doing here, and why even though we may have differences of opinion in how we get there, we as Americans have to forget all the hate and rhetoric and remember that this is a country of people who love one another, love this country, and put this country first. There's too many of my brothers and sisters over the 240 some odd years that this country's been a country that have sacrificed for the freedoms that are so imperative that have made this country the greatest country in the world. And we have to get back to that and remember that first and foremost.
So I did want to take sort of a global perspective here, since you did write the authoritative detailings of what happened in Benghazi and the catastrophic security failures of a weakened America. And from a global perspective, this is something that clearly leads to the death of innocent soldiers. And we saw 13 die in Afghanistan at Abbey Gate because of the weakness and because of the suicidal stuff of our leadership. There was peace in the world with President Trump. There was no new wars. You can argue why, but the reality is that's what it was. There are a lot of people who profit off of war and who actually want chaos and wish to not return to a time of peace. Can you talk about sort of the global tectonic plates that are shifting right now as Donald Trump continues to gain momentum into a second term?
Well, and I heard a good one, you have to excuse me for not remembering who made the statement just recently. I think it was on social media, but one of the things that President Eisenhower, after World War II, when he became president, warned us of, and that was the military-industrial complex. And today, somebody had made the statement that, okay, you know why we wanted Ukraine as part of NATO? Any country that becomes a part of NATO then falls under the contracting that has to be done to provide military equipment and arms to those countries. Well, that is the companies that are controlled by BlackRock that are all of the big military industrial complex that are sending that sending and making money off war and profiting from it. And that is one of the biggest things that we have to be afraid of. It was predicted by Dwight D. Eisenhower, one of the great presidents that we've had, just from the point of identifying that, if nothing else.
So we have new breaking news here. Apparently, according to our production team, and in our best attempts to hunt down information about the shooter, his donations, his political donations, are relatively extensive, and all of them going to Democrats, all of them through Act Blue Although it says he is not employed. He is donating $10 here, $25 here, $19 here, $15 here, all of them through Act Blue, which is of course the Democrat donation vehicle. And so this is brand new information that we are learning now that we have a name and now that we have more information. I deeply appreciate obviously you sticking with us here, Mark, as we get through this moment, as we learn more. Okay, so when you look at this situation in totality, do you believe this is a lone wolf, or do you believe that this individual had help?
At this point, it's hard for me to make that decision. I haven't seen enough information. I think you have to continue looking into both possibilities, and where's the extensive health, where, if there was any extensive help, where it came from. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and start making assumptions just off of little things like this. I think that is something that we have to guard ourselves against, because that is also where we are not being dedicated to the truth if we do go down that road of assumptions. We all know what assumptions are, but we need to make sure that we are getting the right information. We are not allowing people to influence that. There's too much going on. There's too much at stake, and what's at stake is the life of this country from both sides. And if we don't come together and figure this out, then we will cease to become the country that we are right now. And it'll be something that's unrecognizable. The
reason why I asked, Mark, is that I'm no tactical expert. All right. I don't pretend to be. I'm not LARPing as one of these guys. I defer to a gentleman like yourself. But what we are experts at, and we are very good at this, is where is the president? What's the breaking news? What events is he at? And we get often breaking news clips or ahead of time for those things. We had no idea he was at a golf course, right? This is our jobs. We know where Donald Trump is traveling. This is our job. They kept this obviously opaque, as they do often when Donald Trump has a private event. How did this individual know not only that Donald Trump was at a golf course, right? Not like standing around lurking, but knew the hole and had a setup ready at that hole? I mean, that seems like you profoundly knew something was going to happen.
Well, as the investigation continues, what I would suspect I'll find out is that he had been in and around this golf course. He had been able to gain access to it, probably intermittently. From one of the things I did see before I came on was that his position was placed in between two different holes. So it gave him the potential of attack on two different locations. So it increased his ability to attack and give him a better probable chance of engaging with the president. But he may have. It wouldn't be surprised if he had previously golfed on this golf course somehow. Did that as his reconnaissance, as developing what he was going to do and where he was going to be at. That is then how, if that is the case, then how did he do that? Those are, again, security things that need to be looked at and increased on why that happened that way and how he gained access to that facility, because he would have almost had to have been there before.
So I want to just note here that this is hole 5 and 6 where President Trump was golfing in between. If we can zoom in here on this map, this is where they caught the shooter and where the sniper's nest, if we were to call it that, was found there with the ceramic plates that were meant to be a defensive barrier. It's what you have to assume. We have a more high quality image of the plates here to show you before we go. I just wanted to get your assessment here. We have a high quality image of the plates that now includes the rifle. You can see at the very least, this is the best that we have, but you can see the end of the rifle there, along with the handle, the black rifle. And it seemingly is intended, it has been set up in between both of those bags with the bulletproof plates in them. So you're to assume that this is a sniper nest.
I would say a sniper with a rifle like that. That's not what I would be using by any means. I mean, that looks to be a some type of offshoot of a Kalashnikov, which is the AK-47. It's probably not a actual AK-47. Everything I've heard up till now is that it was a semi-automatic rifle, not a fully automatic rifle, which a fully automatic would then be an AK-47 or an AK-74. But it does look like it's probably one of the aftermarket items that is out there, which may be produced by China, may be produced in a lot of other Eastern Bloc or former Eastern Bloc countries like that. And it's not something that you would use to shoot a really long range shot with, though it does have the capability of shooting out to 500 yards. But most likely, if it is the caliber that I would think it would be 7.62 by 45, which is a lot shorter, a lot less powerful round, and not utilized necessarily for anything out past 300 yards.
So that's exactly the distance that they said the president was away from this individual, 300 yards. Final question for you, Mark, and this is a tough one, man. Is this just the world we live in now? Do we just live in a country that has descended so far and that people are so desperate to attain power that they'll demonize so recklessly those who stand against their regime to the point of regular making assassination attempts just par for the course, for lack of a better term?
Well, and most of that I agree with completely. I think that we are following the way our politicians are acting and reacting. I mean, make me think of a third world country. I mean, I'm waiting for him to go fisticuffs on the Congress, on the floor of the House, things like that. Because the hate and the way we respond to things is so vitriol. What we need to do is we need to turn back to what these founding fathers of ours did and founded this country on, and that's the will of the Lord, and bring Christ back into everything that we have kicked him out of, and bring that back. Is that really, I think, truly is the only way we're going to save this country? Is we need to put him back in our schools. We need to have that morality function and know what is right and wrong and know the difference and have that compassion that we should have for one another, no matter if you're different or not. And really, that's what all of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines have fought for, is that Constitution that has been so indelibly important to the functioning of this country in the way that it has up until probably the last 10 or 12 years, where it's become vitriol in the way we deal with each other.
Well, man intends for evil, God intends for good. I believe that the first assassination attempt and now the second assassination attempt may well be the most widely viewed miracles in human history, based on the capacity for the whole globe to have watched them. And I think billions of people watched President Trump survive. Billions, without question, watched President Trump survive the first assassination attempt. There were no rolling cameras here, but we'll be following the story. And Mark, we just want to say thank you. What is the best way to follow you and your work, sir?
Go to my website. It's markgeist.com. Also, I have a nonprofit called shadowwarriorsproject.org. We started this after I got injured in Benghazi to help out those who work in the shadows for our country should they get killed or injured. And we've expanded it out to help veterans and law enforcement as well as the spouses, because the true heroes of all of these wars and what our first responders go through are our spouses who are there and pick us up and keep us going when we come home from serving this country, whether it be as law enforcement or military overseas.
God bless you, Mark. I really hope that you come back, perhaps under better auspices here, and we don't have to always have a breaking news Trump assassination show ready to go. We really pray for this to all end, and hopefully it will end on November 5th, 2024. Godspeed, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, our producers who are fastidious and who are very cautious. I may be quick. I may be quick with a quip, and I may be fast to speak on some subjects. But I got to tell you, we have good information on this program. And we have producers who are ironclad in their information, and they have confirmed that we have the shooter's information online. Ryan Routh is the name. Ryan Routh. Ryan Routh, based on what we know, and we have screenshots here because they do take down they do take down these people's accounts, and they remove them as quickly as possible to ensure what? I mean, I guess the argument of the angels is to ensure that people can't get radicalized from the account. But I would argue that the devil is to ensure that when you are a far left-wing leftist, who is often the people who are behind these types of attacks and attempts. The reason why I say that is that we've been covering the far left-wing shooters radicalized by the corporate Democrat Party ever since James T. Hodgkinson. Do you know that name? Strange how nobody knows that name. James T. Hodgkinson opened fire on a field of congressional Republicans practicing baseball for the congressional baseball game, and he nearly murdered 4 or 5 of them. And there's still a man who's in charge named Steve Scalise. Rand Paul was there, of course. Steve Scalise, who walks around with bullet holes and fragments in his body because of this. But nobody knows about James T. Hodgkinson. Back in the day, this was about 6-7 years ago, maybe. I was the one going through his social media accounts and grabbing all of the information. And this guy was a far left-wing, Trump-hating radical who was a Bernie Sanders supporter and who linked arms and regularly shared articles from MSNBC and Slate, clips of Nancy Pelosi. He was completely radicalized by these people. And instead of calling them out in that moment, our cucked, febile, feline, limp-wristed congressional leadership led by Paul Ryan joined arms with Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi, the people who had radicalized this individual, who shot up their colleagues and Paul Ryan's own leadership and sang kumbaya with them. Instead of having a reckoning about the rhetoric, weak Republicans just allowed it to continue. We will not do that. We will not be the ones left holding the bag on this. We will assist and we will fight, ladies and gentlemen. We've never, ever on this program, called for any type of harm to anyone. We state it regularly, and I'll be happy to say it every single show. We want every American, regardless of who you are, to live in peace, happiness, and health, and good health. That is what we wish for. We have spirited debate, but that is, we will never use terms like they must be eliminated, they must be targeted. The left does that to Trump every single day, including this morning. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is, and this is why I believe that it is important then to actually drill down and to say, who is this individual? Here's his profile photo. Ryan Routh. This man is either in his late 50s or 60s, according to different reports. I do not have an exact age. Perhaps my production team does have it. Here he is behind a wall of flags, and he's wearing tactical body armor. He has an American flag on. And here he is standing beside a massive Ukraine flag here with a red X on his shirt. Ukraine flag calls for every single country to come together and defend humanity and defend Ukraine by having individuals either donate or go and serve themselves in the Ukraine war. Here's this man at what seems to be a protest. He is wearing tactical gear. He's wearing camo and what seems to be tactical boots. He's standing there. Does he have blue hair? Okay, he's 58 years old. He does have blue hair, what seems to be blue hair, not a shadow. His hair has been dyed in the color of the Ukraine flag. That's what this is, boys. His hair has been dyed in the color of the Ukraine flag. He is 58 years old. Date of birth, 1966. He's 58 years old. You can see here is the image of him being detained today. You can see how they are similar images. He was protesting. He was protesting at Ukraine. He's regularly tweeted at Hunter Biden and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, can you please push Biden to establish a federal agency to take oversight of all law enforcement? Local and state officials simply cannot be left to hold their comrades and neighbors accountable. Comrades. Interesting. It must be an outside federal review of all old and new cases. So he's pushing Biden to establish federal authority over all law enforcement. Here is the actual post. Apparently, this individual's Facebook has been taken down. However, screenshots are all across social media. Here he is again. And boys, I'm just gonna go through some of what ALX has posted here in the chat, just to give you an image of who this individual was. We cannot simply stand by while Russia invades Ukraine. Every human across the world should be outraged and be racing to Ukraine to stand for democracy and peace. I plan to fly there and stand with Ukraine, and it is worthy of World War III. Putin starting a war is unacceptable. We must fight, is what he says. So there we go. So this individual, I do not know if he did fly there. I don't know if he did fly to Ukraine. He had tactical gear and camo and things like that. But he did clearly radicalized by this conflict. Many such cases. And he's tweeted, this man hates Donald Trump. He's seething at Donald Trump. He's tweeting at Joe Biden. He's saying he wishes to go to Ukraine and fight. He's tweeting at Zelensky here. Biden, please put all American military on permanent leave with pay so they can go and help Ukraine, so they are free to go as civilians. I'm willing to go and fight and die, he says. Goodness. We need every weapon available shipped to Ukraine, and we must arm every citizen. This man clearly radicalized by this conflict. This is why we want no new wars. We have said this on this channel time and time again. In case you're wondering what our opinion is of all of this, I think that Zelensky is a dictator. I think that Vladimir Putin is a dictator. I think that they're both scumbags. I think that you're often lied to about war. I think that war is often one side is the side of the angels and the other side is the devil. No, it's actually often two devils fighting each other. And you know who actually wins in all that? The devil. You know who dies? Innocents. Hundreds of thousands of innocent young men and women in these conflicts. And you can apply the same to Israel and Gaza. I don't want that war either. I am against that war. Quite frankly, I'm against both sides in that war. I don't want there to be innocent people slaughtered and dead. Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want October 7th. I don't want Putin's invasion of Ukraine. I think it's all evil. I think it is all happening because we are weak in the world. They know Biden is weak and asleep at the helm. I think that it is all happening. It didn't happen with President Trump because they knew there was strength. And I want a peaceful world. With President Trump, we had peace. That's what I advocate for. I think all these guys are douchebags. I do not advocate war ever. As somebody who has children that could be caught up in these wars. They're not draft age. They will be one day. And I do not want this over my dead body. Send my kids off to die in a sandpit somewhere. God help us. Truly. Why is this so hard? With President Trump, what we had breaking out around the world was peace. We had Donald Trump walking into North Korea. We had Donald Trump literally walking into a nation that we are currently at war with. Did you know this? So few people actually framed it this way. It's very important. We never signed a peace agreement with North Korea. We fought North Korea, a little thing called the Korean War. It just cost 55,000 American lives. And all we got was effectively like a demarcation line. The 53rd parallel. There was no peace. So you have a country that we are technically at war with, a Cold War, be it not a hot war, but a Cold War, and you have the leader of that country welcoming Donald Trump and embracing him, inviting him into North Korea, and they walk in together. Isn't that the world that we want? More than the carnage that's going on in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Gaza, Taiwan, who knows what's next? And all the other conflicts all around the globe. Don't you want that peace through strength? Yes, yes, yes. This kind of stuff. And now we learn that the shooter is completely and totally radicalized by these pointless wars. This is what I want right here. Look at this. This is remarkable. This is the first banned photo that you weren't allowed to see. Donald Trump delivering peace around the globe. We were a safer, better country. The whole world was safer. Look at Kim Jong-un. Dude's like grinning ear to ear. Like, live in reality. I guess that's what I'm asking. Live in reality. Yeah, there is no such thing as the side of the angels. When you get to heaven, there'll be the side of the angels. Okay? Like, there is a clear demarcation when it comes to the spiritual realm. Yeah, put that one up too, please, Klein. There's a clear demarcation when it gets to the spiritual realm. In the human realm, this is the best you can ask for. This is the best you can vote for. You want this. No, Kim Jong-un is not a perfect person. No, Donald Trump is not a perfect person. But you know what is the closest you'll get to heaven? Not dying in a field, turned into sausage in carnage. That's actually peace is as close as you can get to heaven on this earth. Just peace. Just living out your days in peace, which it should be the goal of every single world leader. The end. This guy's totally radicalized by the war in Ukraine. You can see it. Dyed his hair the colors of Ukraine. He's tweeting at Hunter Biden. What does he say? They cannot convict Hunter Biden as a question of the application has no time frame. User or addict in the last 10 minutes, decade, life, when? So any pot user at any moment in life cannot buy a gun? That solves the gun control problem right there. No one can. Yikes. Guy's stoner. This guy talking about buying a gun, and then he has the gun. Here. Democracy is on the ballot, he says, at Joe Biden. He tweets at POTUS. Your campaign should be called something like KADAF. Keep America democratic and free. So this guy was just a Kool-Aid drinker. This sounds like an MSNBC script. This guy's just a Kool-Aid drinker. You can see this read into the prompter on MSNBC. Keep America democratic and free. Trump should be MASA. Make America slaves again, master. Democracy is on the ballot. We cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. World is continuing to show us the way. There you go. There you go. All right, boys. All right, team. Catching up here. No Obama statement. Obama just posted this, though. Don't worry. Obama's posting something about the team and the team at something, the Solheim Cup. Champions proud of this talented team, bringing the cup back home. Really? Read the room, dude. No statement from POTUS either. The last statement from Joe Biden is about Hispanic Heritage Month. Are you effing joking? Grotesque. Grotesque. Unbelievable. The Ryan Routh account is still up. Man, this was the last post. There's nothing from Biden, nothing from Obama. No, let's just do hard posts here. We're not going to scroll through his account. Obviously, we don't endorse, and we are a news channel. This is breaking news, and we're not endorsing any of the things that are said here. But we are. It is worth codifying into the mindset of all Americans. Like what is actually at stake. Wow. Here's the full the image, what seems to be an image from a drone. This has to be a drone or something that's aerial of this man, Ryan Routh, being detained here, being arrested here. And we have confirmed, my producers have confirmed that he is a Democrat and that he has, we can put this up, Klein, when we get a chance. Here's his FEC, Federal Elections Commission's donations. You can search his name. It looks like there are 23 Looks like there are 23 donations. And he's donated extensively to Act Blue. Starting in 2019, he did donate to John McCain in 2008. John Kasich, you could see here, way back in the 1999. Okay, well, there you go. Back in the 90s. But that, I don't think, is prescriptive for what we have today. Now we have at least 20 donations to Act Blue. So 20 donations to Democrats, effectively. That's what Act Blue says there in his financial records. So don't let them lie to you. Don't let them lie to you. This is a Democrat who was ready to kill Trump today. And were it not for eagle-eyed Secret Service members, who I am not giving a pass to the Secret Service right now. They well may have. I mean, obviously, their failures in Butler is presumably what led to this attempt on President Trump's life, because you can see how the gaps in their coverage and the what I believe to be criminal malfeasance in the protections of Trump, or lack thereof. And now what experts today have told us seems to be copycats, or at the very least people who have been encouraged perhaps encouraged by the security failures to try and take their own shots at Trump. Here is another image of this gentleman on Capitol Hill. I say gentleman, a piece of garbage. In DC and Kiev to provide soldiers for the war effort. Holy smokes. I think this guy is in Kiev here. I recognize that statue behind him. So he was in Ukraine. Who was he meeting with? Who did he work for? What was he doing? Who was he working for in Kiev? Who was he meeting with? Goodness. There you can see it. So the man was clearly radicalized by war. Wow. One of our favorites, Tim Burchett, was going to join the show. He's a wonderful congressman, but we had to let him go because his connection just didn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, he did join Fox News, though, from his vehicle. Here's what one of our absolute favorite guests and favorite members of Congress, Tim Burchett, had to say.
For more on this, we're joined by Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, member of the House Oversight Committee, but looking in the previous assassination attempt. Congressman Burchett, thank you for joining us. I mean, this nation today came so close to an assassination, it seems, of the former president. Just yards, a muzzle poking through a chain-link fence, spotted by a professional advance team, a Secret Service agent who fired shots. What is it going to take for Washington to protect former President Trump more, to add security, to realize, as we heard in the news conference from the Palm Beach Sheriff County, he said, well, he's not a sitting president, we know that, but at least ramp up the level of security. Do you expect those calls to come on Capitol Hill starting tomorrow?
Well, they're already calling now. And you got to ask yourself, why was there not a drone flying over wherever the president is? This is ridiculous. This Palm Beach officer, he needs to be demoted or fired, or if he's elected, his people need to set him aside because he is not fulfilling his duty. Clearly, we have got to be careful because the power of suggestion is what we're seeing right now. The left is just ramped up their vitriol. You've seen the tweets that they're saying something about they need to learn how to aim better and things like that. Those are the type of things that incite somebody who is on the edge. They know exactly what they're doing. This establishment, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, it's an open sewer. They have thrown down the gauntlet. They know if Donald J. Trump is elected, their days are over. We'll get this country back in order, and they will throw anything and everything at it. The problem is you've got a Secret Service, at least in my opinion and in the public's eye, that is compromised and that it lacks in leadership. And you've got brave agents on the ground, obviously, one who took that shot. But why in the world would anybody be anywhere near the perimeter of this? This line of sight that we talk about is just beyond me. So we've got to get some answers. I don't think we're going to get them during this administration, but hopefully under the Trump administration, we'll clean this rat's nest out. I mean, we've got to go through these departments like Grant through Richmond, brother. We cannot put up with this anymore.
Well,
man. Okay. Whew, boy. This is just, I can't believe we're back here, you know? I can't believe we're back here. We're going to fix this when we win. This is it. This is the only way that we fix this. FBI is now investigating the attempted assassination. Has there been any word from Ron DeSantis? I want to just ask this one final question. Has there been any word from Ron DeSantis? Anything from the governor of the state of Florida? I really do pray and hope that he locks this testimony down, that he locks down this individual, and that we get a clean interrogation and we have that information out to the public. You remember Donald Trump ate a bullet 2 months ago, and we know nothing. We know nothing. In fact, we know less. It's like almost we know less because we don't know what's true and what's not because we've been lied to so many times. Enough of that. Enough of that. Jack Posobiec saying that he heard the shooter adopted a firing stance and posture as if he had received military training or had combat experience. And we have photos of him in Ukraine saying he's going to fight for Ukraine wearing tactical gear. And the guy has a bulletproof vest on. So I don't know. I have no idea if he actually fought in Ukraine. We just have photos of him there in Ukraine. We don't know if they're from the war. We have him saying he wants to go do that. So this is what he's, so this is what he's said publicly. So we have no idea. We do not know. We're going to, though, lock it in tomorrow. We're going to have members of the Assassination Task Force. They have their work cut out for them now. Members of the Assassination Task Force with us, and individuals who were with us in Butler, Pennsylvania. We're going to pivot back to President Trump and this wild world that we're living in, where I think they'd rather Trump die than become president again. I think how many more times do we need to make that clear? How many more times do we need to make that clear? I want to tell you here, ladies and gentlemen, that we are the only show we're the only program that are standing at the drop of the hat. We are going to show up for you. We, did and will do everything that we can to bring you real news. We are fighting against people who hate the fact that we have a program that can actually get truth out to the American people and do it at scale. So please help us. Please become a member today. Sign up for the Benny Brigade at BennyJohnson.com. If I know times are tough for a lot of people, so just watching the program helps us out. Subscribing is free, so subscribe to the channels and share our content. We will be committed and devoted to you. I got up at we were just chilling at home Sunday afternoon. I had my kids with me. I just got up and so Trump's been shot again. We gotta go. Some guys tried to shoot at Trump. We're just gonna go. We're gonna go. We have an obligation. This is our obligation, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, we got one final one for you. This is something else. The guy has tweeted at David Muir multiple times. David Muir, this is the man who was the opposite of demure the other night with President Trump, who was behaved like a first year feminist studies degree activist, screeching and howling and whimpering about his feelings during the debate. Here we have the man tweeting at David Muir, "I'm flying to Ukraine right now for democracy. Goodness. I'd appreciate your help in spreading the word of how important it is for us to not sit around and do nothing. Citizens must join the fight. It's the most important moment of our lives. Please help me. He's tweeting at David Muir multiple times here. Multiple times. I'm flying to Poland and then to Ukraine to fight. I am disappointed in the civilian response to Ukraine. Stand for peace and democracy. And then he's like coming after, David Muir. Are we all going to do nothing? You have the power to change this, to go and fight and die, he says. Goodness gracious. David Muir, you can change the outcome in the Ukraine war. This guy's clearly radicalized, an absolute sociopath. But clearly radicalized. This is why it's important to have peace in our time. This is why it's important to have peace, ladies and gentlemen, and to have presidents that want peace. Because this kind of stuff, like psychotic, this kind of stuff breaks people. Make America mentally healthy again. I think maybe Maha, right? Make America mentally healthy again. This is what we really need to. This is what we really need. Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen! Donald Trump has overtaken Kamala Harris in some of the markets. I don't really want to make this overtly political, but I do want to say that this program has made news. Since we have been live for the last 2.5 hours. Here we have Eric Prince, founder of the private security firm Blackwater, called on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to immediately assume control of the investigation into the second Trump assassination attempts. The feds have dropped the ball thoroughly in Butler and time after time. So this is us, this is us, a force for good in the world. My production team has informed me that after 2.5 hours of live, over 2.5 hours of live, 3 hours on the story, that we have no more breaking news, and information. And we've spoken to, holy smokes. So you have an interview. The guy apparently has. I'm loading it now. So the guy apparently is on camera. I'm not sure. Don't load it. I need everything to be approved by executive producer ALX, the great ALX. But don't load. But this does. It does look like. Is he in an interview with Newsweek Romania? He's candid about his pro-Ukraine views and his efforts to recruit foreign fighters. So that's what this guy. It shows him with you can just load it without audio, please. You have it loaded without audio. You can see that he has his hair dyed here, blue and yellow hair dyed again, and apparently he's traveling all over Eastern Europe. Yeah. So this is the guy. Yeah, there you go. So this is the man who, not the man. This is the degenerate monster. Sick, psychotic beast who's clearly clearly you can see it in the eyes, mentally ill, in a cult. This guy who's a far left-wing Democrat, who's donated to Democrats, who's been radicalized by Forever War, and who was in a military stance and a military position, defended by backpacks filled with plating, ready to kill President Trump today. This is what his voice sounds like.
Thing in the world is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some reason, Russia does not grasp this concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being kind and just the basic moral values that are required by human beings these days. It blows my mind.
It's satanic. There's no other way to describe it. The guy's talking about peace and love and unity in the world, and then goes and tries to assassinate Donald Trump, tries to kill the president. That is the banality of all evil, isn't it? To be able to live inside of a paradox like that, to have no cognitive dissonance and understanding that like you are the thing that you hate so much. We don't live like that on our side, not this movement. This movement, we stand for one thing, I think above all else, that is actually creating a peaceful, better America. That is why we want to make America great again. That is what America first means. America first means, well, actually screw all these other foreign nations, all these foreign wars and all of that. We're not going to get radicalized, or we don't want those. We don't want them. We want this country to come first. We want our treasure to be spent here in this country, because this is where our treasure is. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so if you love America, if you have children here, if you have a family here, then you should defend this place. We won't get another America. If this country fails, then there's going to be a lot of darkness around the globe. You want a strong America. You do not want this place to descend into madness. And so this is what America First is. Leaving this country a better place for your children and mine. Defending this great, beautiful nation. This is what we stand for. And the only way that we'll win is to have God on our side. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's our verse of the day from Philippians 4. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, wash over you. Whew, man. It just feels like yesterday in my production, like kind of talking internally to my production team here. Feels like yesterday that we were doing a Trump assassination live. Feels like it was like no time at all. And we went to Butler, and maybe we'll do more on this. We are the only team that has produced an actual definitive documentary attempting to like explain what happened at Butler and what precipitated President Trump eating a bullet. And we can't believe that we now have to like go live again to talk about another assassination attempt. This time the suspect's alive, and so hopefully we'll learn more. But first, that verse, we are anxious for nothing because our rock is God, and our faith is not in man or a political party. This world will fail you every single time. Our rock is on our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And then secondarily, the truth will set you free. So that's what we're about on this channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. And we say, God bless you. Pray for President Trump today. Please pray. We wanted to close with our documentary on Butler. We take this stuff seriously. We don't want them to get away with it. We don't want people to forget. This documentary has been seen by tens of millions of people now. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll close with it. We take this stuff very seriously. The best thing that you can do is pray to your creator. And the next best thing you can do is use the powers you have right now to find and seek truth. Be salt and light. It's your boy Benny, and thank you for watching our breaking news stream tonight. Pray for President Trump. Here's what we found in Butler.
Heart racing, the assassin holds his breath and looks down the scope at President Trump. People scream he's got a gun as police officers surround the building. But no one has stopped him. Just a football field away from the president. Counter snipers see the threat but have not engaged. The trigger is pulled. A bullet rips through Trump's ear. Blood splatters Trump's MAGA hat and pours down the side of his face into his hands. Several more bullets riddle the stage. Counter sniper teams engage and miss. Then hit. Trump rises in defiance, fist in the air. Fight, fight, fight. 20 seconds in Pennsylvania will change America forever. Yet the government has told us nothing. In fact, the Secret Service has lied to the American people multiple times about that day. We needed answers, so our team traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania, the assassination site. What we found is worse than you can possibly imagine. This is the Trump killbox. Our first stop in this investigation was Washington, D.C., to pick up two experts in counter-sniper operations and tactical threat engagement, who also happen to have constitutional oversight of the Secret Service. Congressman Eli Crane is a qualified lead sniper for his SEAL Team 3 platoon. Congressman Corey Mills ran counter-sniper operations serving in the Army 82nd Airborne Division and the State Department. Both men have been shot at in war zones and shot back successfully.
I want to get the facts. I want it to be a bipartisan full investigation, but I don't want this to be one of those where we overclassify it so the American people don't have the transparency. Yeah, because they deserve to see this, to be able to, one, have confidence that it wasn't something that was an inside job, or it wasn't something that was just negligence, or it wasn't dereliction of duty, but that they actually can say, I know that my president, future presidents, are actually going to be protected and safe whenever death threats and other types of risks are there. And here's how it happened and what we're going to do to prevent it in the future. When you get out on that site, if you have even an iota of training on security, long distance shooting, and you get on that property, I mean, you see a water tower that covers the entire premises, basically, you start asking yourself, why the hell wasn't anybody up on that water tower?
So that's what we intend to do with this video, to establish from an expert perspective, what are the questions, right? How many answers will we get? I'm not sure. We're not going there with subpoena power and law enforcement to kick in doors, but we can go look and see and ask questions. So these are the questions that I want to sort of open the table up for. What are the biggest gaps or holes that you men see right now?
Definitely, I want to know why there wasn't counter snipers on the tower. I want to know who made the call to send the shooters or the security team outside of that second story window that had clear coverage over the shooter. I also want to know where this young 20-year-old kid with no military experience got his training, because I'm hearing he had advanced explosives. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to figure out how a 20-year-old kid acting alone by himself got within 150 yards. It's one of the most powerful, one of the most loved, but also one of the most hated individuals on the entire planet.
I've only been here 10 seconds. I am blown away by the fact that there is no law enforcement, there's no government investigators, there's no Secret Service, nothing's cordoned off. Nobody seems to have any specific interest in investigating anything. You'd assume there'd be a crime scene of the century, right? Nope.
While on the ground, we are going to investigate 5 fatal security failures that created the conditions for Trump to get shot. Rooftop kill zones, security dead zones, Overwatch, the sniper's nest, and communications collapse. All of these elements combine into what the military calls a killbox. A killbox is a 3-dimensional target area designed to facilitate maximum likelihood of a casualty event. On July 13th, Trump was in the killbox.
This is shockingly close.
Officer on the roof would have prevented this entirely. The first location to investigate was the Secret Service sniper's nest atop the red barns behind Trump. The assassin, Thomas Crooks, was an obvious person of interest to law enforcement. He was denied entry to the Trump event by Secret Service and had been flagged by local police for skulking around the AGR manufacturing building with a rangefinder 90 minutes before the shooting. He accessed the roof by climbing up on an air conditioning unit and traversing the interconnected rooftops with a backpack. His movements were slow, lumbering, and obvious to anyone with a line of sight. Crooks even pointed a gun at police officers and rally-goers alike who were filming him from the ground. Police had completely surrounded Crooks by the time he was in position to fire on Trump. New footage, recently released, shows Crooks atop the roofline of the building 3 whole minutes before firing shots. You can see his head and torso and firearm. The snipers atop the Red Barn location had clear line of sight to engage the shooter, but did not fire until Trump had been shot. We climbed up onto the Red Barn sniper nest position to see what those snipers saw that day.
You had one guy here who's got a slightly elevated position. people in those windows, which could see the backside of those buildings, it would have 100% coverage if you're communicating.
So if we are in the sniper position, as we saw with the tripod right here, you see dents, right? This must be very close to where they were, and you don't see the same dents. So if you're looking at this shot, what were they looking for? What was the hesitation? What would you expect to have happened?
I haven't seen video of Cricks taking a shot, but I'm assuming based on how he was wisely low crawling up the roof that he probably took a shot from a prone position. So you might be looking at a profile that's, I don't know, maybe 6, 10, 12 inches high. Got it. And if one of those guys was on high magnification, one of the snipers, it's hard to find anything on high magnification. So he might have had to dial his scope back out,
get the field of view,
just so he could find him. Oh, there he is. I'm coming in. Crack.
It took a full 20 seconds to neutralize the target. Why? The answer is bone-chilling. According to local SWAT teams, there was simply no communication with the Secret Service.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers. That never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
The Secret Service skipped the security briefings and site visits.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday.
The snipers on the roof had no idea what was going on, what the commotion in the building was about, and local law enforcement had no way to contact them directly. They had no intelligence and were in the dark, and that is why they were fatally slow to react.
Neither the Secret Service counter-sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the AGR building with a firearm.
This is completely suicidal. If the agents protecting the president can't share intelligence about a threat to the president's life, it guarantees failure of the mission by design. The agents we spoke with say they've never seen a setup like this, and it gets much, much worse. How was Crooks allowed to get so close to the president in the first place? How was he allowed to fire 8 shots? We investigated his sniper nest to find out. The exact location where Crooks fired his weapon is easy to find because once you are on the rooftop, it is still stained with his blood.
Yes, this is it right here.
This is it right here?
You can see the blood trail that comes down.
Got it. Got it. So they're right where Trump was.
Right.
They're where Trump was right there.
As your basic training boot camp soldier, that they make twice this distance shot to pass boot camp with iron sights, not with a red dot, not with a scope, with any magnification or any type of a, red dot sight. It's that much easier of a shot.
So level 1 to 10 difficulty shot from right here.
For one of us, exceptionally easy.
We crawled on our hands and knees into Crooks's exact assassin's position. This is precisely what Crooks would have seen as he fired the rounds at President Trump. This is what Trump would have seen had he looked at the roofline of the AGR building. This is how close the killer was to President Trump. The Red Barn is not the only sniper position at the rally. The Secret Service is responsible for stationing all protective teams for the president. Local and state law enforcement officers go where they're told and do what they're told. A local SWAT sniper team was stationed on the 2nd floor of the AGR building with perfect overwatch of the roof. The snipers in this location could have and should have easily been able to engage Crooks before he ever came close to scope sight of Trump. The acting director of the Secret Service says he does not know what happened in this location, but we do.
Who was stationed up there? And did they see the shooter? Why weren't they engaging?
Once there was a suspicious individual reported, one of them came down, left the room that they were conducting overwatch in, went down to, I think, walk around the perimeter, see if he could find him. Tried to come back in the building. The key card wasn't working, and so he called the other guy that was up in the room. The other guy left his post to come down to let him in. We're being told that that's when the shots were taken.
So it's just the worst possible timing for a local SWAT team or sniper team.
So Crooks was able to crawl across a rooftop and fire on President Trump, while this fully equipped sniper's nest with perfect view of the assassin's position was left totally unmanned. This humiliating error happened because Secret Service did not have command, control, and communication with with local teams. The assassin would have been easily identified and tracked with modern Overwatch capabilities, yet drone technology was not used by the Secret Service, and was turned down when locals offered. This is why Crooks was hard to follow on the ground and on the rooftop. But even without drones, the shooter could have easily been neutralized by correctly positioned sniper teams. The water tower in Butler is a point of great controversy, not because there was a shooter there, but because there wasn't. Why was there no sniper team positioned as Overwatch on the highest point in the entire county during the Trump rally?
Anybody even get up in that water tower to check lines of sight, angle? Again, look around you guys. It is the highest point on this entire observation point on this entire property. Did anybody even get up and, do a site survey on that water tower?
Our drone footage of the water tower shows what a perfect location this would be for Overwatch. This simple graphic shows how easy it would have been for a sniper positioned on the water tower to have tracked, engaged, and neutralized Crooks before he ever got a shot off on President Trump. A security dead zone is an area at an event where the general public can enter and exit without ever being screened by security. Did you know that there was a 3-acre security dead zone 80 yards away from President Trump with clear line of sight to the stage? That conveniently happened to be right in front of the AGR manufacturing building. The chaos that this security dead zone created allowed for Thomas Crooks to scope out the building with a rangefinder and eventually climb up to his sniper's nest and shoot President Trump.
So anyone carrying any bag or anything could have walked right up to this fence line.
Oh, yeah, they were all in. And if you look at where that orange flag is on the ground, I mean, that's essentially the stage area.
Any person, let's just assume that person is a paramilitary trained individual with terrorist connections who walked across our southern border, just for worst case scenario, any group or anyone could have walked right up to this fence line and been how far away from the president?
Roughly from here. What do you got? 100 yards? You've got a backpack with a concealed collapsible that you set down, unzip, and pull from here. You're 100 yards.
And what's to stop 15 men from doing that?
Nothing.
And at the same time?
That they could have parked on the side of the road, walked that back path by the water tower, and come straight to this point, and you're 100 yards without even have ever touched a security element.
There are plenty of people who are willing to die to take a shot at the president, no matter who the president is.
That's right.
President Trump's particularly high value target.
Right.
There's no doubt that there would be 15 men with terrorist associations in the country right now.
Well, I think that if you look at the 400 plus who's crossed our open borders on the known terrorist watch list, I think that it's very self-evident that we all know that they're here. It's just a matter of if and when.
It's critically important to remember that no matter how bad the events of this assassination attempt were, because of the failures of the Secret Service, they could have been much, much worse.
This is the FBI flag where President Trump was standing and was shot. That's the spot right there. Guys, there's a kill box is what it is. There's a kill box. And according to all of our sources, these roofs over here and the roof over there, none of that had any security on it. There were open rooftops in every direction.
Professional snipers can hit targets at 2,000 yards. There are 7 unsecure rooftops in full line of sight to Trump in that range.
I'm no security expert, but I look around, and if somebody was able to crawl up on that rooftop, there are rooftops in every direction. This does not seem like a wise place to have ever approved of a rally. Am I wrong?
It seems like there's a lot of structures that are, very threatening to the president in this spot. These buildings take up like his rear, his 180. And so what we're looking at, most of our threats are, these buildings out in here, and most of them are well within the distance that a trained shooter would be able to execute.
Standing right up here and looking at this, Congressman, for the first time, seeing it again with fresh eyes, would you have Would you have authorized the president give a speech?
Sometimes in units like that, whether military or law enforcement, you're told, this is what we're doing, make the best of it.
This is why it's so important as well to have a security team who's willing to push back and say, sir, we don't have enough available resources and assets to secure certain areas. That's where that prioritization of where would I you have to almost put yourself into the mind of someone who would try and make this and say, where would I be? What would I do?
If a trained professional sniper had decided to kill Trump that day, God forbid. We have established beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump was intentionally put into the kill box on July 13th. So who's responsible for this fatal security plan? Who cut the communication lines? Who kept Trump on stage? And who will be held criminally liable for these deadly decisions? We have so many questions after our investigation of the assassination site, but one thing is crystal clear. There are forces that wanted President Trump dead. The obscene security failures created the conditions for a live TV execution. These failures are unforgivable and have inspired regular Americans to ask questions like this.
Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
The head of the Secret Service resigned in disgrace after this question, but her replacement continues the same failed policies that sent a bullet through Trump's head. Not one federal government employee responsible for the assassination attempt on Trump's life has been fired. Gross incompetence is indistinguishable from malevolence. Enough stupid people making decisions together will get innocent Americans hurt or killed. Whistleblowers inside the Secret Service have warned of another Trump assassination in 30 days or before the election. How long till the next Trump kill box? We demand accountability and criminal charges for those responsible. Pray for President Donald Trump before it's too late.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.